Is 7 o'clock and Tuesday night, and time for another Bossier Watch. We're going to be a little bit late starting this evening, so we're actually going to start about 7:15ish. Duke is on his way, but he's running behind. He was working on some show notes and some other things, and so anyway, it's going to take him a few more minutes. So y'all let all your friends know we will be online. We're going to be about 15 minutes delayed tonight. I'm going to put a countdown up there, and we'll be back because, as you can see, we've got plenty to talk about tonight. Okay, let's see how many people. Oh, we got 25 people on, and we're kind of trying to psych everybody out because I told them we were going to start around 7:15ish. So let me get you up on the screen here, Mr. Lowry. Hold on. There you go.
You can ad lib quite a bit, I guess.
Yeah. So for
Take
everybody
a little
that's
bit of time.
for everybody that's watching, we're a little bit delayed tonight. Duke was in town and had to kind of hurry up. Boy, that makes you look weird with the brick.
It does, man. I'm gonna tell you. I had to. Yeah,
You might want to change that one.
Yeah, I was late. I had to fight that Benton Road traffic. My gosh, and now they're talking about wanting to put more traffic on Benton Road.
Well, yeah. Well, and we're going to talk about plenty about that because at the city council meeting today, weren't they talking about the shed road situation and the railroads?
Woo, boy, the railroad. That was a hot topic today. I mean, and I'm gonna try to do this that our good friend says. If it didn't light your fire, that means your kindling's wet.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I
folks,
just
we
couldn't
have
do it. Couldn't do it like he does it.
yeah, we've got plenty to talk about. I'm kind of ad-libbing here with Duke for a few minutes as we let everybody kind of get in. We got about 35 people watching. Of course, that's plenty enough, folks, and we appreciate all of y'all, but plenty enough to get a conversation going. So let's kind of start easing into it. And if anybody was waiting for another 10 minutes because I had it in the timer, well, they'll catch up when they get here.
Yeah, and the 35 folks that are watching, I mean, if you so feel inclined, do us a favor and drop down there and share the live video because, again, we kind of came in off of a long time thing and we started the show kind of odd, was late getting started. So, there may be a lot of folks. I know there's a lot of folks that want to watch this show and watch the content and some of the stuff that transpired because there were some big things happening in Bossier City today. It's going to affect all of us, and a lot of people are going to want to pay attention to this. So do us a fave and share it out.
Yeah, because if you're not able to watch the entire city council meeting, we're going to hit the highlights here on the show. And as you can see from our title, King David was actually derailed slightly today, which was very interesting. He was sure pushing for this project to move forward in a hurry.
His Zamboni mo naturally ran straight off the tracks today. Now,
Yes,
he didn't
did.
call a point of order, but he came real close. He was calling in help, no doubt about it.
He must have fell and hit his head and been confused or something. I don't know how he missed calling a point of order today.
So this show is going to be a little bit tough because I hate to say a little bit tough, but I mean we started this deal. We was going to address issues that we didn't care where they went, who they touched, how they touched, or what. And so we promote people sending us information on on the proton mail. If you're scared and you don't want your identity known, we promote people to share stuff, right?
Yeah, we do, and we're big promoters of Proton Mail. You can go to protonmail.com, make a free, completely anonymous account, and send an email to Bossier Watch a Proton Mail. We do check those, and we've gotten tons of information through that. And just don't put any identifying information. And of course, we can't and won't share who you are. Now, I do want to say this, Duke, and so let's chat about this for about a minute or two. The way Proton Mail works is they are out of Switzerland, actually, so they follow Swiss laws. And the Swiss are far more into privacy rights than we are over here in the U.S. We're really not all that free over here, actually. But they are susceptible to Swiss laws. Now, when you log into Proton Mail, that's completely encrypted. So they simply cannot read the email. And if it's sent from Proton Mail to Proton Mail account, that email can't be read by anybody. Now, if you send us something from your Gmail account or an Outlook.com account or something like that, that actually can be read by Google or by Microsoft. But Proton Mail to Proton Mail is completely encrypted. So I just want everybody to be aware, if you are going to share something with us where you're really worried about a job position, or if it's sharing some sort of criminal activity, you're really worried about that, you need to go into Proton Mail through a VPN to help kind of hide yourself a little bit, because Proton Mail, if required by Swiss law, by a court order from the Swiss courts only, they are obligated to record your IP address. They still can't read the emails, but they could say, hey, Rex logged in from his AT&T account at this point in time. We don't know what the email said, but he did log in. So you can use a VPN. There's also a Tor system. I don't want to get real technical on that, but there are ways to be almost completely anonymous if you're sharing something that you're really worried about. And if you are, just reach out to us and we'll walk you through the process, obviously. Okay?
And another thing, Rex, and we'll touch on this on the tech side of it. A lot of folks, like right now, we've got 57 people watching the show, and people can see who, is watching live. They can look at that and they can see. But there's a lot of people. We're also on YouTube. These shows are streamed across there. So you can go to YouTube and you can see these shows if you don't want to take the chance of somebody seeing. I mean, I'm not. Yeah. I would love for everybody to be right here, but the thing is this is the No Fear show. I mean, we go where no man has gone before, and we understand that a lot of people they don't want people to know that they're watching this show. We talked about it in the past that people don't like our shows and people don't comment on our shows because they don't want to potentially give people the idea that they like the content or they like whatever. But the thing is they all talk about it.
Yeah, or some folks don't even want other folks to know that they're even paying attention to us, so they'll have surrogates watch the show and give them the highlights. But, that's fine too. We're just here to share the content out and put our 2 cents in. All right, so with all that said, let's get started. So what are we going to talk about first tonight?
Well, we spend a lot of time. We get a lot of information that comes in. People send us proton mail. I mean, a lot of people have took to heart what we were sharing. I think a lot of people historically have known information and they haven't shared it because they didn't know where they could go with it to share it, and it would get put out there. Well, here you have these crazy guys here now that are putting things out there, and people are sharing things. So,
correct.
With that said, we can't run down every single thing, but we've been spending a lot of time running down anonymous. We call it, you and I call it anonymous rabbit holes, information that's shared with us. So do you want to roll off with the first anonymous thing that was sent our way that we ran down this week?
Yeah, and so that I'm going to go ahead and bring up cut one, and so let me hit the deal there. So here's cut one, and this is obviously not an anonymous letter, but this is a public or a reply to a public information or public records request, FOIA request, if you want to call it that. And we got an anonymous tip in that the Tahoe was back in Tommy's life.
Yeah, the anonymous charge, you might say, was that, and they used the term Tahoe Tommy. As you remember, there was a little bit of, and we corrected the record on how the Tahoe, it was originally said that, Tommy Chandler said, no, I got to have a Tahoe, and was demanding it all. And that wasn't entirely accurate of how the Tahoe came to be. And we rooted that out and determined that wasn't actually the case. So anyway, we get this anonymous thing that says Tahoe Tommy the next weekend after coming back from Vegas, and what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Sure.
When he came back from Vegas, that him and the Tahoe made its way to Dallas for the weekend.
Well, Dallas is innocent enough. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of stuff that goes on in Dallas that necessarily goes on in Vegas. So what's wrong with taking the Tahoe over to Dallas? If that happened, that's an allegation.
Right. Well, I don't know. I think the problem would be you going on personal business using the Tahoe. That could potentially
city-owned
be a
vehicle.
Problem.
Yeah, city-owned
you're
vehicle.
using city resources. I mean, but hey, maybe somebody on the other side of it would say, well, maybe the mayor needs to be able to respond if there's some major incident in Bossier City. But as I understand it, the mayor passed his duties on to the CAO while he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
But an interesting point to that is when the mayor is absent, if I'm correct, according to the city charter, the president of the council becomes in charge of the city, not an appointed CAO by the mayor. Now, I don't know whether that's accurate or not. There could be
Yeah.
somebody smarter than me out there that could allude to that.
Yeah, in most cities, and I hadn't read that part of the Bossier City Charter yet, but in many cities, or a lot of them, yeah, if the mayor is out of town or out of state, then it falls to, whoever's next in line, and a lot of times that's the president of the city council. Um, so he went to do a personal trip to Dallas. Of course, that's fine. The mayor, he needs to be able to go take
He's
care
human.
yeah,
Yeah,
go
my
take care of
goodness.
whatever. That's not the
So,
problem.
but
The problem was there was an allegation sent to us, pretty detailed, sounded credible, that he was actually in the Tahoe. So we did a public information request and sent it off over to Charles Jacobs, the city attorney. He is the custodian of records for the city of Bossier, for any of y'all that want to do these public information requests. And he replied back and says, please be advised that no GPS data is available as to the city mayor's city vehicle, as said vehicle has no GPS attached thereto. Now, let me just pause right there. I'm pretty sure that Tahoe has OnStar, so they can technically track the GPS if they wanted to. All right, but anyway, it goes on to say, Mayor Chandler left for Dallas with his wife on Friday, October 22nd, and returned Sunday, October 24th. The mayor's city vehicle remained parked in his driveway as said excursion was a personal trip. So we want to make sure and correct the record, unless somebody's got some kind of pictures or video of that Tahoe not being there during this time period, then of course we've got to go with what the official record is here.
Yeah, so that's the only way I know to resolve, that issue is to, ask in a serious setting, and we did, and there's the answer that we got.
Yeah, and as we move on to the next one, I just want to remind everybody of one thing: is this Tahoe deal was one of the places that you and I both pretty much kind of defended Tommy as he was, before he was sworn in, when all this controversy was going on, and dug up the information and all that on it, and pretty much we heard crickets about the Tahoe after a couple of our shows about that. So even though we're kind of on Tommy right now over the whole situation with King David, hey, this Tahoe deal was a non-item back in the spring.
Yeah, that's right. And hey, I wanted to point to a comment. Lisa Richardson says, what's going on with the First Baptist Bossier drama? Now, Lisa, we haven't had any recent updates regarding that, but what I will tell you is that we have a public information request in on some subject matter pertaining to that. We just have not retrieved it as of yet. We think we know what the content of it is, and I can tell you, if the content is what we think it is, it's probably going to shock and awe a lot of people out there, and it's going to make them scratch their heads a little bit.
Right.
But we've got a little bit more work that we're still doing on that.
Yeah, and it takes time and lots of effort to get that done. Okay, so we've hit topic number 1, Tahoe Tommy again.
Tahoe Tommy is back.
Like the greatest hits of Tahoe Tommy. What's next? Moving on.
So the next one, it gives me a little bit of reservation, I got to tell you. Rex, you know that I was a public servant for 20 years. And look, Sammy Halfin brought me up on political activities charges like relentlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Was always coming after me. I went through and played that game for years with him. And it's touchy when you're a policeman or a fireman, and that line of whether you're politicking or not politicking, you got to watch your P's and Q's. And today, but when I was a fireman, and kind of towards the end of my career, Facebook and social media was just becoming mainstream. It wasn't mainstream at that time, I would argue. It was just kind of starting. And, that wasn't a thing. But today, apparently that's a thing. So, again, talking about anonymous complaints and charges, we would be remiss to not, address the issue and
right.
Of what folks are being sent to us. So we got this complaint, and it was detailed. It was 2 pages, and cut to
Coming up.
uh,
There we go.
so and I mean it was addressed to us, but it says Mr. Duke Lowry. But
Right.
and I don't know if why it was Duke Lowry. It's probably because I mean I still know a lot of the civil servants that work in Bossier City
Sure.
on the police department, fire department. I wore a badge on both sides of it, and then they know me. They know I'm a straight shooter, and they know I'm going to call it like I see it. I'm not going to, go one way or the other. Anyway, with that said, they sent it here. So here we go. The Anon asks, why did, you can read it, and he's pointing out that Chief Estes on the police department
Mm-hmm.
from Facebook had liked numerous political candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And that and even they included, and I think I've got it in other cuts that we can get to, and it's going to be kind of hard working through this and articulating it, boy.
Right. Well, we'll
That
kind of give the summary version.
Yeah, that liked a lot of these different political candidates, including Juliana Parks, Congressman Mike Johnson, and even John Schroeder, state treasurer. Well, I mean, I kind of like all those folks. I mean, there's things I don't like about those folks, but there's things I don't like about everybody. Heck,
Right.
there's things I don't like about myself. But
Well, but the difference is here you're not a civil servant anymore, correct?
that's right.
Okay.
As soon as I signed my retirement papers, I was as political as I could be. All those years of pent up non-political activity, and been
Political
involved ever
rage
since.
at the machine, yes. All right.
That's
So,
right.
the problem here is, or according to this complaint, is that temporary chief Chris Estes, or whatever the official title is, police chief, has liked several political candidates. And correct me if I'm wrong, Duke. For civil servants, you're not even supposed to use your personal Facebook profile to do this, and I would assume the same
Nope.
would go for Twitter or anything else. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I never had to deal with that. I
Okay.
mean, like I said, before I retired, Facebook, Twitter, all those things, I mean, they were there and it was becoming a thing, but it
Right.
wasn't a thing at that time. So,
Okay.
whoever the anonymous person is that sent this, I mean, they, as I understand, sent this to everybody in city government in Bossier City.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can come back to this anonymous complaint, but if you want to scroll through that, so if people watching the show, if they want to go back, they can pause the show, look at the document,
Right.
go through it, they can see this. And we don't just willy-nilly put things up that, there isn't some kind of confirmation or question, or there may be some gray area here, or if it was just crazy, we wouldn't put it up there.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's a possibility, we're going to put it up there, and it needs to be addressed. We're going to put it up there. So, in addition to this, if you want to scroll on down to the bottom of that,
Okay.
and we'll move along, and
Okay.
so
Hmm.
then what I want you to do is go to cut 3 and 6, and
All
they
right.
shared with us and gave us screenshots, obviously off of a mobile phone of
Right.
Facebook likes to show that a person or a Chris Estes liked these pages, and it had an LSU helmet on there.
Okay. Give me a second, and I'll have it pulled up here. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna try to get both of them going at one time. Here we go. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So as you can see, this profile named Chris Estes liked the Juliana Parks or what have you. I think the one on the right may even be a different one. The Congrats Major William. I think that was a different post.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what they sent to us.
Right.
And apparently the likes are no longer there because the anonymous source that sent all of this says why did he stop liking the above politicians?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether he does or he doesn't, or whether this profile is still liking these people or not. I haven't went back through these political candidates, or Juliana Parks is in a race right now, so she is Treasurer Kennedy. I mean, not Treasurer Kennedy, Treasurer Schroeder, and I can't remember what the other one was, but they're already in Chandler. They're already elected.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I'm wondering is, who's calling you in the middle of the show?
Somebody from California, a client from California, so he's on California time.
Oh, it's that we've been trying to reach you.
Right. We have found you.
So, I mean, if you're elected and you like a political candidate, or you like a politician, or
Right.
if you are a political candidate, I would argue that maybe if you like a person that's in a race, that is showing favoritism, but but clearly here it shows that this profile, Chris Estes, like a political candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So but the Anon asks, why did he stop liking above politicians? So you and I, we did a search, and if you did a search right now for Chris Estes, there really isn't a profile that comes up. There's
Right.
not none anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Which,
will admit, go ahead.
well, I was going to say, and for the record, from my viewpoint, I completely disagree with that whole, I don't know, I guess it'd be regulation on civil servants. I'm not in agreement with that. So, in my opinion,
Well,
civil servants
that
should be able to like and follow and comment and put signs in their yard if they want to. I understand there are reasons that's not always a good idea, but I just don't agree with any of them.
But Rex, I mean, that is a really hardcore and deep subject to get into, and I
Mm-hmm.
would argue that there's a lot of civil servants that would say, "Look, we don't want to be able to like and follow or politic or be involved in politics. We don't want to. We don't want to corrupt the police department or fire department with politics, or have it there." And there's some other reasons, but that ain't what this show is going to be about, because we
Right.
could get off down that rabbit hole and be on this all night long.
Yes,
And
and we are not doing a 2-hour show tonight. I'm just telling
yeah,
you.
that's a future show that we can certainly get off into, and I can bring us, I would argue, subject matter experts. I mean, I was right there in the heart of it, been on all sides of it,
Right.
wrongfully accused and such, and explain all of that. But
Anyway, so
the
back
point
to
is,
this.
in real life today, you got the chief being accused, and um, you know, and the Anon is arguing for that there should be an investigation, right?
Right.
So,
Well,
the,
here, let me. I want to scroll back up to this real quick, and let me see if I can highlight this part right here. City Attorney Charles Jacobs advised them, so I'm kind of highlighting this, not to investigate these claims because they were anonymous. Now, I got a question, so I'm kind of sidetracking, but of course it's from this letter, and the letter was sent to us anonymously, but also to the city council and whoever else. But what does that mean that Jacobs advised them not to investigate these claims because they were anonymous?
well, I got to tell you, you did jump ahead a little bit, and cut 11 to,
Okay.
if we want to go ahead, we can go ahead and jump to cut 11, and
All right.
specifically the anonymous person, whoever sent us all this, addressed exactly that.
Okay.
And
well, let me get this.
now I don't.
Oh, it's
Well,
crooked.
it's crooked. It's sideways.
Hold on, I got to fix that. So keep going while I fix this real quick.
So we're going to test everyone who's watching tonight, the 75 people. We're going to test your physical ability to read sideways. Now,
Oh no, I'm gonna help everybody out. Keep talking.
we
Keep
truly
talking.
believe that our viewers are high achievers. We do believe that, and
Yeah.
this is a test to see if you actually are.
There we go. That's
So, Now, this is what we were sent, and I don't know. Maybe somebody that is on the Bossier City Police Department. I think that you would be legal to comment on this show, or somebody that has knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
of the policy and procedure manual. I have one somewhere, but I promise I have not looked it up. I don't know, but the anonymous source sent us this, and they said that this is in the policy regarding complaints that are anonymous and third party. And they say that they should be accepted and investigated to that sufficient information is provided.
Okay, wait a minute. So I'm gonna flip back over here, and right here in this highlighted area, City Attorney Charles Jacobs advised them not to investigate these claims. Now, this is an anonymous complaint alleging this, so I don't. We don't have any proof or any documentation that Jacobs did in fact advise them not to investigate.
No, we don't. I mean, we don't know that he did. I mean, again, this is anonymous who said
Okay.
that he did, but
But
they
hypothetically, if Jacobs did say that, that would be completely counter to the Bossier City Police Department policy manual, right?
it would.
It would be like the city attorney didn't actually read the documentation, right?
It would.
Kind of like the
Absolutely.
same city attorney didn't really read the contract when he was asked about it at today's city council meeting, right? But I'm jumping way ahead now.
You're jumping way ahead, and I got to tell you, it's been a long day. I'm doing everything I can to keep up here.
Okay. All right.
To
So
keep this together. So,
all right, so let's wrap this up and push on to the next one.
so where did all of this come from with the Facebook stuff and all this? And okay, I would be remiss, in a previous show, that Cut 8, you would know that we kind of talked about this in a previous show. So it was alleged that the chief of police had participated in a political event down in South Louisiana with the attorney general.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Right. Yes.
So with that said, it was cut 7. The why is where I needed to go to first.
All right. So let me get to cut 7.
Yeah, my apologies.
That's
I jumped
okay.
ahead.
That's all
I
right.
actually had checked that off the box. But anyway, so the why did kind of going down this road, and this is where I think it started. Now, all of y'all watching, remember this name, because obviously she's on a mission, and we'll just leave it at right there about steering things and controlling things and what have you. But scroll down just a little bit on that image right there,
All right. You
Rex.
got it.
And if you'll see in the left bottom corner, you'll see a picture there, an image of, it's got Jeff Landry, and it's got, the police chief in there. And
Oh yeah, that's Chris Estes over there on the right in the bottom left picture, far right, bald head.
yeah, now, so you see this picture, and if you're thinking with all the alligators there and all that, you think this is a part of the alligator hunt, right?
Correct.
But the problem here is she mixed this picture in with the Jeff Landry 2021 alligator hunt. I mean, that is his fundraiser. He does it all the time. Jeff's a great guy.
Sure.
I love Jeff to death. I mean, he's a personal, beyond being a politician, I view Jeff as a friend of mine.
Right.
But that picture with the chief is included in this political fundraiser event that Allie went to. Obviously, she needed to try to, score brownie points with the AG, but she included this picture. So some people probably watched this show and made the determination, hey, you know what? The chief is at a political fundraiser with the attorney general.
Right. That
So,
picture right there. Look at my cute little graphic that I'm doing.
yeah, you're doing good.
Okay.
But
Technology.
but the problem with this is the alligator hunt didn't happen. It happened on a Friday and a Saturday.
Oh, so
The-
that picture was a different event.
The event that the chief was at was on a Wednesday. you know, which was a appreciation for all of the, you know, officers and first responders, I guess, to the hurricane stuff down there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you'll go to, you know, but just to be sure, we reached out to Jeff. Jeff's a friend of ours, and we reached out to him, Cut 8.
All right, let's get over there to
And
Cut 8.
just to get clarification, and Jeff, he cleared it up, I would argue. Here is my text to Jeff.
Mm-hmm. Says, Jeff was the law enforcement appreciation dinner the week of the alligator hunt, a fundraiser for any political candidate or party. And Jeff's response was, it is a non-political event. And then your reply was, perfect, that's what I thought. Let me know when you're getting back to Bossier so we can visit. Keep up the good work. Thumbs up.
That was it. So,
okay.
Jeff acknowledged it's a non-political event.
Right. So this event down here, somewhere down here at the bottom, let's see, that we see Chief Estes in, if I can get my gadgets to work right, that we see Chief Estes in down here, was not part of a political event. It was simply an appreciation dinner.
That's right.
Okay. So, who was the appreciation dinner sponsored or held by? Do you know?
I don't know 100%. I think it was just for all the law enforcement agencies or representatives, you know, to be present for all of them that participated in the hurricane relief efforts.
Yeah, and look, I'm fixing to go off on a tangent here, and this is nothing against Jeff nor Chris Estes or anything like that. I'm just throwing this out there in general. Even if it's an appreciation dinner, but it's put on by, let's say in this case, I don't know if Jeff's office did or not, but it's put on by the Office of the Attorney General or the Office of the State Treasurer, John Schroeder's office. I don't know. You know, that's quasi-political because, you know, they're showing appreciation to the first responders and all that, but it's also put on by their public office. So, again, that's a whole other rabbit hole, but, you know, that line gets blurred all the time. And, again, I'm not saying that Estes nor Jeff Landry did anything wrong at this appreciation dinner or the alligator hunt. I'm just saying there's a blurry line there between what can be construed as political and not.
Well, normally that alligator hunt, I mean, it is definitely political. I mean, you had Donald Trump's son there. I mean, it's straight up political. But the fact of the matter was that the chief and I think one other officer, it was like two officers, I think, from each department could be there. They weren't at that event. They were at an event on Wednesday. The alligator hunt was on Thursday or Friday and Saturday. I was actually supposed to attend. Me and Carol were going to go down, but we didn't go. I forget what came up. Something happened. We were unable to attend. But the fact of the matter is, he was there on a Wednesday. He wasn't there on Friday and Saturday. So anyway, that is disproven on that point.
Right. Okay. Let me, and I'm going to roll back. Well, we just got a long comment. I'm going to have to read that again. Let's see. Hold on. Just want to first thank, let's see, Mary Procell Cheatham is watching. Kaylee Larkin's here. Of course, Ashley Lee is here. Who else? Looks like I think maybe Kara just signed in and a few others. So we want to thank all of y'all for watching. Now, Heather Michelle Turner says, I'm just going to read, this is a long comment. Let me see if it'll fit in there. Wow. I agree with disagreeing with the public service rule. If you're able to express the likes, we can better understand the views and motivations, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, there's both sides of this, and I think it would be a good idea if we do a future show on that. All right, so we pretty much dispelled the deal about this particular, the alligator hunt, and whether Chris Estes was at a political function, which he was not.
You know, and the anon went on. I guess the best thing to do is just kind of move on.
Okay. Yeah.
I could get off on the civil service stuff all night long. I could give people examples that would blow their mind of historical reference in Bossier City, for example, that have taken place. But I think the best thing to do is move on.
All right, but I want to address one more point, and I'll try to keep it brief. If, hypothetically speaking, if the anonymous person is correct and City Attorney Charles Jacobs did advise the Internal Affairs Unit not to investigate these claims because they were anonymous, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well,
why would you not investigate something that's anonymous? Isn't that what Crime Stoppers is literally about?
I think you may be onto something there.
Are we not, look, folks, are we not going to investigate or use Crime Stoppers anymore because you want to be anonymous? I mean, come on. So hopefully the city attorney did not give them that advice.
I can tell you this. Sammy Halfin had no problem investigating me for anonymous complaints of political activity. He went full steam ahead on it. Didn't hold back at all.
Well, and now we got a counterpoint here, so let me throw a comment out here. Heather Michelle Turner says, I do not like refusing to investigate a claim just because it was reported by an anonymous person. Okay, so Heather was agreeing with me. I read it the wrong way. So
moving right along. So the ANON goes on to say, and we're going to bring up Chief McWilliams.
Mm-hmm.
So Chief McWilliams, they point out, they said, he's been on leave for 4 months. His complaint was not sustained. Right?
Okay.
I'm placed on leave for almost 4 months for nothing. His complaint was not sustained. Right there. You got it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So, as you know, in a previous show, we sent a request in to the city, and we requested all of the results of internal affairs against investigations against Chief McWilliams.
Mm-hmm.
And in cut 12, we got our response from the city attorney, Charles Jacobs, in regards to the investigations into Chief McWilliams.
All right, so here we go. I've got cut 12 up there. It says, Rex and Duke, I'm in receipt of your request dated October 18th. Please be advised that there is an ongoing active internal affairs investigation regarding Chief Shane McWilliams. Said investigation is not yet complete, and therefore said info and documentation is not subject to a public records request. Please be further advised that there does not exist any accident report or repair receipts in the possession of the city as to the city vehicle formerly assigned to Chief McWilliams within the last year. He's compiling the phone records from his formerly city-issued phone from July 1st to July 10th. Please allow 5 days, blah, blah, blah. Sincerely, Charles Jacobs.
Now, do you want me to elaborate on why we requested a little bit of those?
Well, sure. Of those? Elaborate away.
So, those requests were actually, we got some anonymous, again, tips, and the first was on the investigations. This complaint that we got in this ANON letter about that the internal affairs investigation was not sustained. This isn't the first time we've gotten this. We've actually gotten this multiple times.
Right. It's like a tit for tat deal on whether there's an investigation or not.
That's right. And so we sought an answer to that question. And, then in regards to the vehicle, we were told that there's this issue regarding the city vehicle and, that there was this accident or what have you. Well, we kind of run that down. Well, we did get some more anonymous information that directed us that, look at the Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office. You need to make your request to the Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office because they communicated with us on that particular point. There's multiple things here. They communicated with us on that point, and they said that basically we were looking in the wrong place, that we should have been looking in Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office. And I'll just jump on out there and say what they elaborated was the significance of the incident was that a deer was hit. Now,
big whoop.
We haven't ran all that down. Because now we're having to jump off to the sheriff's office and run down an accident report. And
over a deer getting hit? Come on.
Over a deer getting hit. They're saying that it was potentially even 5 years ago. Now, I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know if that's inaccurate. But if we're going back 5 years ago, come on. That might be a little much,
Yeah, and so to the anonymous person who obviously watches the show, I can't see spending any time to go back about a deer being hit, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, unless unless a city employee or whoever was taking a city vehicle off road going to their deer lease and hit a deer running down the dirt road or down a right of way or something. Maybe then, but honestly, a deer was hit. If that's the case, I don't know. Yes, we are grasping at straws, Ashley Lee.
Now, the last thing in this response, and the reason, and we did get a response on this from the city attorney, and on the phone records. The reason that we asked for the phone records was because we had been given a tip that there was communication with a certain council member that holds himself in high regard and loves to call out point of order at meetings frequently, that there was a lot of communication between the police chief and him during this time of transition when he was relieved of his duties as being the chief. Well, what I would say is that council member's phone number on those phone records? Yes, it is. And we haven't had the ability to completely analyze all of the phone records and the numbers and all, but what we can confirm is that councilman's phone number is on the records. That we can confirm.
Okay.
So, moving along.
Yeah, moving along, because we've still got a lot more to cover, obviously, with the meeting. What are we going to next?
We haven't even got to the good part.
Yeah.
75 people. Y'all, we're just all we're doing is building you up. If you don't have your popcorn ready, I mean, you shouldn't have already ate it because we hadn't even got to the good part yet.
Right. Okay, so where are we headed next? Cut 13?
Yeah, so Jacob sends us this thing back. I mean, you were on the screen you needed to be on the one before.
Right.
And he sends us this response. Go back to it, and he says,
You're talking about... Yeah, hold on.
No.
Hold on.
The one you had.
Right there.
Now, everybody's got to pay. You got to be sharp right here. You got to pay attention. So please be advised that there is an ongoing active internal affairs investigation regarding Shane McWilliams. Said investigation is not yet complete, and therefore said information is not subject to a public records request. Now, the date on that is October 19th, 2021. Now, we asked for any investigation internal affairs investigation that had been completed on Shane McWilliams, and I think we put in there like the last 5 years or something like that.
Right.
So then that's the response that we got from the city attorney. Now, if you go to cut 13, the anonymous sender sent us this letter, which is a pretty, I'm gonna use a word here, is a pretty damn interesting thing.
That's okay. Hey, it's our show. We can say what we want.
And the only reason I use that term is to be able to provide the emphasis on this letter.
Right. I'm going to kind of blow this up a little bit. There we go.
So, as you can see, Rex, I'm going to let you read the letter, but as you can see, you see the blue ink and the Tommy Chandler signature?
Yeah, down there in the lower right corner.
Yeah, this was an original document, or this was a image of the original document. Now, I would argue that this original document was sent to Shane McWilliams, which means Shane McWilliams shared this with somebody, or either Shane McWilliams is the anonymous guy. I doubt he's the anonymous guy. I don't know. I mean, everybody out there watching, you can determine whether that's accurate or not. But it doesn't matter whether he sent it or whether somebody else sent it. But look at the date.
Yeah.
September the 3rd.
September the 3rd. Very interesting. And let's see what the letter says. So it says, Dear Chief McWilliams, please be advised that the internal affairs investigation as to your insubordination is now complete. Please be further advised the finding of said investigation was the allegation of insubordination was not sustained. Please be finally advised, Mayor Chandler, the appointing authority, does not agree with the findings of said investigation. You will be informed of the date, time, and location of your pre-disciplinary hearing within a reasonable time as required by the Policeman's Bill of Rights. Sincerely, Tommy Chandler's signature down there. First thing is, I hate it when the mayors have somebody else drafted up and it sounds like they're talking about themselves in third person. But that's a whole other story. So there was an IA investigation for insubordination. That was completed. Apparently, Tommy didn't like that, and there's going to be another investigation, or there is one. Maybe that's what Jacobs was referring to.
Now, wait a minute. I pointed out the dates here, right? This letter from, and it's an original from Tommy Chandler, mayor.
Right.
The folks have to pay attention to the terminology here. The appointing authority. The appointing authority is Tommy Chandler. By virtue of being the mayor, he's the appointing authority, right?
Right.
So
right.
This is dated September 3rd, and he's acknowledging to Chief McWilliams that there's an internal affairs investigation that was conducted, regarding the charge of insubordination that was not sustained. We've got the anonymous messages before regarding this. That
Right.
was not sustained.
Right.
We met based off of that. We reached out to Jacobs and said, "Hey, give us a copy of all the internal affairs investigation," trying to get to the bottom of it.
Right.
If the charge of there was insubordination, it was unsustained, was true, there would be a report that we would get upon that request. And that request we made in October after this.
Yeah.
So how is it that the city attorney sends us a response saying that, there's an active internal investigation, but he doesn't give us a copy of the completed investigation? But yet here we have a letter from the appointing authority and the mayor saying that there was an investigation and it wasn't sustained.
Yeah. That timeline doesn't make sense. So I'm trying to get both. I'm going to cover us up for a second because I'm trying to get both of these on the screen at one time. Okay, so the one on the left is the letter acknowledging receipt, so on and so forth, October the 19th. Actually, it should be over here on this side because it's well after this September the 3rd letter.
So, I'm not going to make a conclusion here, but I'm wondering, what are the viewers? There's 80, 85, 84 people watching. What do y'all think? What do you read into that?
Yeah, and I don't want to, influence anybody's opinion, but it just seems to me that there is definitely a witch hunt going on against Shane, and maybe he did some stuff he wasn't supposed to. I really don't know at this point, but it's like this, like I said earlier, it's like this tit for tat back and forth deal.
Now, and this, we didn't stop here. The Anon goes on from here.
Right.
So the Anon charges that Jacobs went around taking Chris Estes, and I'm not sure exactly where it's at. You'd have to find it. Yeah, it's right down there about where we're talking about Maggio. And they didn't throw any rock at Maggio. They actually, Maggio, I would argue today at the council meeting, and we're going to get to that, Maggio stepped up to the plate. I got to tell you, I was impressed today. I mean, he didn't say a lot.
No,
I mean, he did speak, which is a change for him.
Well, even better than speaking, he voted against King David, which
he went against the grain.
He went against the grain, yes.
Which that is a welcome thing to see, is when people think for themselves and go against the grain and don't just rubber stamp things.
Okay, so all right, but what is the deal here? Because I hadn't focused on this today, so help me and the rest of the viewers out here. What is the deal here in the time with Maggio, Estes?
Well, the deal is here, whoever or however, whoever sent us this,
Mm-hmm.
they obviously have some connection to Maggio. They know they say Mr. Maggio is an honest businessman with good
Right.
character and has always been a friend of the police department.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, but the thing above that, what they say is they say Councilman Maggio at his store where Jacobs supposedly told Mr. Maggio that this is what the sheriff wants. What the sheriff wants. So now we got Julian Whittington involved in the mix.
All right, but I'm a little lost here. So try to rein me in or circle me back here or help me figure this out. What is it that Julian would want?
Well, it's being made to sound like, in my opinion, and I may be wrong, the viewers can read what is being said right there as to what the anon is saying the intent is. But so was the sheriff, did he have a hand in this? Did he not have a hand in this? The anon is alluding to and saying that maybe the sheriff had a hand in this and coordinating with the Jacobs to steer this thing and Estes, you know.
Well, steer, or in your opinion, steer the investigation into McWilliams, or
No, no, no,
steer
no,
Estes into
no,
being temporary slash interim whatever police chief.
no, nothing about McWilliams, but
Okay.
trying to push Estes to be the police chief,
Well,
and
but here's my comment to that. But now call me out on this. So what?
yeah. So what? Well, was the sheriff or was the sheriff not? I think it was kind of interesting that the sheriff may or may not be playing into Bossier politics, but again, fact finding and wanting to determine what is reality and what is not reality. So,
And
um,
look, I'm not trying to defend Julian either, because we definitely have a difference of opinion on things like AR-15s, as well as whether teachers should be armed in school, by the way. But in this case, the sheriff politics, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but the sheriff can legally endorse people, right?
he
And
can.
and Bossier City is literally in Bossier Parish. The sheriff's department actually has authority inside the city limits.
Well, I will say this: there hasn't been the best of what's the word, cooperation, or uh, I don't know what other word you could use, but
Mm-hmm.
between the sheriff's office and Bossier City, historically, there has been a little bit of a rub there over the years. There has been.
Well, a little power
So,
struggle, yeah.
but I'm not going to take the word for the anon, right? So, but that's our job. We're supposed to look these things up, and we're supposed to go where no man has gone before, right? Where normal media doesn't go.
Right. Yeah, I don't
So
think any other media is going to be sharing some of these allegations. And again, these
I
are allegations,
I
somebody's
reached out.
opinion.
I reached out to the sheriff, and I've known the sheriff. Good gracious! I mean, since the early '80s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, since I was a kid,
Right.
I've known the sheriff since, I would argue, since he started his career at the Bossier Sheriff's Office. So we go a long way back. As that's not saying that we're peas and carrots. I'm not saying that
Right.
at all. But I am saying that I would argue there's a mutual respect there. Anyway, so I reached out to the sheriff and I asked him. I read what the anon had said,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what the sheriff said to me. He says, "I thought," and this is a quote. He
Mm-hmm.
says, "I thought Estes would make a good police chief, and I supported him. Did I campaign for him? No." He
Yeah.
said he supported him. Did he campaign for him? No.
Mm-hmm.
Did he acknowledged that he never had a conversation with Jacobs? But I would think, and that's what he said. And I didn't push him.
Right.
I wasn't going to. That would be disrespectful to push him. But he acknowledged enough, in my opinion, there that he thought Estes was a qualified candidate to be the police chief of Bossier City. I thought that if someone had asked him the question of whether or not, I will say I'll give credit that they asked the sheriff, what his opinion was. there's credit due for asking his opinion. I mean, Bossier City is in Bossier Parish. He is the sheriff. He is the highest elected official in this parish. Um, you know, I I think it's credible to ask the man that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a question. It's a pretty much yes or no kind of answer.
And he could have
All right.
easily ducked the question, but he acknowledged. He said, "I thought Estes would make a good police chief."
Yeah,
So
that's
I would
that's a
argue
fair
that,
answer.
yeah, he gave his support.
Okay. So, um,
The next thing, I'll move through this real quick.
yeah,
Let me
that
run
was
through it. The Anon asserts that Jacobs is lying to us,
mm-hmm,
right?
right.
And that the state police are not investigating.
Mm-hmm,
Ironically, we sent a request out to the state police
mm-hmm.
to determine whether there was or was not an investigation to get confirmation. And Rex, you and I have sent information requests to, I mean, we've got requests to the DOTD,
Right.
Wildlife and Fisheries, Police Jury, Cypress District, Bossier City,
Bond
you name
commission.
it. Yeah, you name it. We've got we get responses from everybody. Everybody responds to us. But you
Mm-hmm.
know what? State police has never once responded to us.
Well, they legally have 3 days. I mean, I don't think we can go arrest them because, well, they're the state police, and that's not really what the statute allows anyway.
Well,
But they got three
well,
days to give some sort of response.
well,
If even if it's more time to produce whatever records.
I think they're pushing 30. And if anybody watching has any connections to the state police, if y'all would kindly ask them to maybe respond to us on that. I mean, look,
Yeah,
we're not
by law, they have 3 days to issue some sort of response, or either produce the records or a response as to why the records either can't be produced or more time is needed to produce the records. That's the law.
That's right. That's right. So I think we beat that to a dead horse. We got 90 something people watching.
Yeah, all right, but let me address one comment here. This is from Jason Dobbins. He says, was the mayor premature in saying the IA investigation was complete? So, according to the September the 3rd letter, Jason, the IA investigation as to the insubordination was completed, but based on Jacobs' response to us, later on, there is still an active investigation going. So maybe they went from insubordination to, I don't know, he...
We don't know at this time, but we will find out.
Yeah, one way or the other. It's public information at some point.
We're going to know one way or the other.
Right.
I hope that this doesn't end up being one of those, $1 million lawsuits that we had, like you had over in Shreveport with the fire chief over there. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
So, did you see the Chandler press release?
Why, yes. Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, I've got those that I'm going to pull up on the screen here shortly. Let's see. Press release. All right, so this is on the bond ordinance. Let me swap screens here.
Ashley Lee Bullock says, wasn't there a response that there was a criminal investigation was ongoing? Now, yeah, she is right. When we sent the request about the appointments to the council, or the letters going to the council to inform them that they was reappointing Estes to the job of the chief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pending the terminology was actually pending the outcome of a criminal investigation. Now, insubordination of that charge and that claim is not criminal.
No, that'd be procedural type stuff, right?
That would be procedural. And to that point, a lot of folks may or may not know, it says, what exactly is the insubordination charge? What exactly are we talking about here? And I meant to cover this, but...
Is that the one where he told McWilliams to go be at whatever the front desk, answering the phones and picking up paper by the front door, and Shane didn't do it?
Yeah, that's it. And here's the deal. Folks, the Anon said, that why has he not had a hearing yet? Why has he not been to the Civil Service Board? Well, the point of it is, I was a Civil Service Board representative for the fire department. I was selected by all the firemen to be that representative. The point is, until you suffer a penalty or a something, you can't, there's no reason for you to appeal to the Civil Service Board to go hear your case, because as of right now, Shane McWilliams, he's still receiving no loss of anything. He's getting chief's pay, but his duties are to sit at the front desk and take
Answer
phone
the
calls
phones.
and
Yeah.
anybody that comes in. He's still getting chief's pay. So he
And
has
I guess, is he
he's
still
not
called
lost
chief?
anything.
I mean, he could answer the phone. Hi, this is Chief Shane McWilliams of the Bossier City Police Department.
He could still answer it.
Whatever.
So until they dock his pay, give him time off, he does not have a reason to go to the Civil Service Board. And I mean, I don't know how much more clear to point it out.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I want to put up a comment from Grady Davis. Grady says, sounds to me like the city attorney didn't know you had the Chandler letter and common sense to connect the timeline, so it was easier to blow you off. Now, Grady, we would never accuse an appointed official, such as the city attorney, of trying to blow somebody off, for a public records request. Surely they wouldn't do that. All right, let's fast forward to, this is the PR letter from Tommy's campaign, and as everybody that watches the show knows, we had called on Tommy to veto the $75 million in, it's going to be a $75 million refinance and issuance of debt over these bonds. And correct me if I'm wrong, Duke, I think Councilman at Large Chris Smith had called on the mayor on his Facebook page to veto. And apparently Tommy's like, no, I'm not going to veto. He's siding with King David.
Yeah, he obviously wasn't going to have anything of doing anything outside of the ordinary. Or now in the campaign when he was running for mayor, I'm wondering, everybody watching, what did y'all hear about Tommy Chandler? What did Tommy Chandler say he was going to do? What did Tommy Chandler enunciate his plans were?
Yeah, I mean what was his, why vote for Tommy? According to his campaign, why should citizens vote for Tommy?
I remember hearing that Tommy Chandler, on his first day in office, he was going to have a forensic audit of the books in Bossier City.
A forensic audit. Hey, you know what would be interesting is if we had some of the campaign mailers that everybody got in their mailbox from Tommy Chandler. Wouldn't that just be cute if we had some of those that we could show on a future show?
Boy, it sure would. Juxtapose that against where Tommy stands today.
And I want to read this real quick. So this is Tommy's mayor's response. This is October 29th. Recently, the Bossier City Council passed an ordinance to authorize the issuance of $75 million of public improvement sales tax bonds. They're borrowing the money from the LCDA. As the mayor, I do not have a vote regarding any ordinance or resolutions that go before the city council. My only remedy is to veto the measure, which can be overridden by the council. Wham, 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 cry me a river. Let me give you a little piece of advice here, Tommy. Again, you may not have a vote directly on the ordinance, but you're correct. You do have a vote to veto the measure. Now, they might override it, but you need to make a stand and take a stance for what you campaigned on. It's the message you send. If the council comes in and overrides your veto, we're going to be on them even worse. So it's the message you send, Tommy. And when you send this message out in a PR release that you don't want to veto it because the council might override you, we're all sitting here going, this is not going to cut it.
Now,
all right,
Rex,
off my soapbox. Sorry, Tommy.
Rex.
Nice guy, but this doesn't cut it, buddy.
Yeah, Tommy has always been a nice guy. But look, let me ask you this question. How many people do you recognize around Tommy now that were around him during the campaign?
That's true. And again, I'll say whoever's advising Tommy, and we've been advised by certain people that were advising Tommy that they're not advising Tommy anymore because they don't want us to talk about it. So, yeah, it has changed. And look, I want to say, let me jump back on my soapbox for a second. The next paragraph, Tommy says, I want to clarify my position on this issue and explain why I will not veto this ordinance. Now, I might not agree with that, but if he had left out that entire first whining paragraph, he should have just started with, I'm not going to veto this ordinance because I think $75 million and using $30 million for a YMCA or whatever this rec center is going to be or whatever is a good idea, and here's why, bam, bam, bam. We could argue the merit of the points. But when he starts off with, I can only veto and they're just going to override me. Ugh, it just drives me insane. All right, I swear I'm off the soapbox this time.
Do you know that I have it on good authority from an old Bossier person, been around a long time, that says that they don't know of a time that a mayor ever vetoed any ordinance that come before the council?
It'd be interesting to
No,
go back and look that up.
No mayor today that can be pointed. I mean, and somebody watching or somebody may know of a different ordinance, or they can point out that where a mayor vetoed an ordinance. But I'm told that there's no mayor has ever vetoed an ordinance of the mayor.
Tommy, so, you could have been a trendsetter here.
Tommy Chandler, you had the opportunity to be different, and you said you were, but yet here you go. You had an opportunity.
Yeah, and he was on the wrong side today, by the way, at the city council meeting. We're getting to that hopefully here in about 10 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes.
He was. And the $75,000, what is that for, Rex?
The $75 million? I wish it was just $75,000.
He points it out, $75 million. So let's talk about the $75 million for public improvement sales tax revenue. What exactly is that for?
What are those improvements? Look, he says down here, I've got it highlighted. I've got it about middle of the screen. No specific projects have been determined. The city is not obligated to spend the full amount. We're going to borrow it. I'm sure at interest and the fees that the LCDA and their attorneys and so on and so forth charge to do all that. But what does that sound like? That sounds remarkably familiar to, who is that crazy woman with the whites that you can see all around her eyes, and she's absolutely, pardon the phrase, but batshit crazy? Oh, Nancy Pelosi. You got to pass it so we know what's in it. We got to get the money so we know what we're going to spend it on.
That's not Tommy Chandler. Tommy Chandler is the vice chairman of the Republican Party of Bossier. And
the chairman is fine with 23 cent a gallon gas taxes, I'll say again.
Yeah, how did that happen? And who steered those people to be in those positions? Who did that?
Surely it wasn't a coordinated effort.
Surely Richard Ray, Allie Feaster-Smith, and Raymond Cruz didn't have anything to do with that. Surely,
of course not.
They had no hand in any of that.
And by the way, where is
limited government conservatives?
Where is, and look, I know you're on the peck right now, but where is the Bossier Republican Party, the executive committee? Where are they on these issues right here?
Well, we may or may not have a meeting I'm no longer the vice chairman. It used to be when Mike Collier was the chairman, I was the vice chairman. We had meetings regular and we addressed issues, but we haven't had a meeting in quite some time.
And it's not COVID related.
Yeah, and saving you the taxpayer dollars, we may or may not address any issue with that. I would imagine that we may vote to favor some spending here in the near future or something.
There was a former senator, and I'm not going to mention his name because of the Beetlejuice effect, but there was a former senator that said that the Bossier Parish Republican Executive Committee is going to be irrelevant. And I think he was a much wiser sage than we all thought at that time. And right now it's irrelevant.
I will admit I said he was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I have to acknowledge that I was wrong and he was right, because it is irrelevant right now. And the people who enabled it to be irrelevant, to hold people accountable, were Richard Ray, Allie Feaster-Smith, and Raymond Cruz.
Sure.
Y'all remember those names, because they're the same people that are going to be enunciating to you how conservative they are, and they're the people who have enabled the things that are happening right now.
I've long said that we should do something like the women have done, set up our own private organization to support true conservative, real conservative Republican principles, and the heck with being part of the Bossier Parish Republican Executive Committee, or, I don't know. Okay.
Moving along.
That's a whole other soapbox for me to not get on tonight. Yeah, so no specific projects have been determined. So basically, this is Tommy's letter saying he ain't vetoing nothing because he might get his feelings hurt because the council would turn around and reject his veto and overriding.
Now,
And it doesn't
Rex,
matter anyway.
I got to ask you, he says no specific projects have been determined.
Right.
Really? Now, who freaking out there believes that no specific projects have been determined? How many of y'all believe that crap? And how many of you believe that they won't spend $75 million if they've got the ability to spend $75 million? How many of you believe that crap?
Yeah, they just want to get $75 million in the bank, paying interest on it. By the way, David Johnson says, "Let's take a poll. Who is thinking about the mayor's race in a few years?" And Cindy Ulrich says, "Since my tax dollars is paying for that, why? That means shouldn't have to pay again to use it." Yeah, right. So let's be clear. They may end up calling it a rec center or whatever, but the YMCA competition was definitely on the table, and that's what we're running with because it's fun to say YMCA.
Now, since we're talking about YMCA, I want to jump past the section. Now, y'all watching, we've got a section called Humble Pie, and you're going to freaking love it, okay? But we're going to jump past that section, Rex. And since we're talking about the YMCA, and since no specific projects have been determined, in a previous show, we talked about the YMCA.
Yes, we
and
did.
We need to jump down there. And we did a little digging on that. And we come up with some historical stuff that might make you guys watching the show wonder and think that maybe is Tommy Chandler being forthright here in saying no specific projects have been determined? Maybe. I don't know.
Look, we have a time machine, so it's called Minutes from a Meeting and Studies and all that. So we're going back in time here, back to October 3rd, 2017. Let me put this up on the screen. There we go. Okay. So let me look on the notes and see what page number we need to go to.
So if anybody thinks that there haven't been certain people that have had this, and the why question, that is the big question. Why? What is the motivating factor for spending government dollars to make this happen? Why? But let's go back to 20, and the thing is you can go back in years prior to this, but let's go back to right there. It says 2016 revenue bond.
Not to exceed 70,000, or introduce an ordinance appropriating not to exceed $70,000 from the 2016 revenue bond capital projects fund to initiate a feasibility study. So let's see if this thing can work. For a YMCA facility to be located at the North Bossier Park, to be facilitated through JWH Project Consulting LLC, First Reading Hall. I'm trying to kind of channel my best Phyllis voice there.
Now, I may be wrong on this, but if I recall correctly, just for everybody watching, it was at this time that the council, in their wisdom, said, well, if we were to move forward with this project, would the YMCA commit to retaining all of the revenues from it, keep it in Bossier? And as I understand it, potentially the YMCA said, no, we would not do that. And so the deal died right there. Interesting, right?
Right, but apparently, there's going to be a resurrection attempt here.
So, yeah, that's right.
The Lazarus effect in politics.
Now, interestingly, why would all of a sudden, why are we trying to resurrect some deal? Well, so we look back and we look at our failures and we say, okay, well, we failed at this attempt, so maybe we need to try it again. Maybe we need to revise the way that we go about trying to get this thing done. So, cut 21. We fast forward to a $30 million recreation center.
Wow.
And it just so happens that it happened not too long ago. In fact, it happened the beginning of this year.
$30 million from various sources to construct the Bossier City Recreational Center and Senior Center. There we go, right there. They're going to make a senior center.
Wait a minute, where's the YMCA?
Well, let's see here. They just changed
it don't
the
say
name.
YMCA.
What's that
It don't
saying
say
about
YMCA.
What's that saying about lipstick and a pig?
Oh, we put lipstick on it this time.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and
We
folks,
put lipstick on it this time.
hence the reason we're calling it the YMCA, but they may end up calling it the Rec Center, so they can turn around and say, "Well, Duke and Rex on Bossier Watch were just wrong. It's not a YMCA." Right.
Oh, yeah,
right.
yeah. So page 2.
There'll be some village people at this one too, folks. Okay, page 2.
Without a doubt. So page 2, if you jump to that, it'll show you, and this is an interesting thing, and you guys are going to see this again when you get down into the council meeting as of today. Page 2 shows where the monies are coming from. You see all these different funds?
Yeah, look at there, $22.1 million.
From the LCA fund,
Right.
Fund 498. Jump down there to the riverboat interest. 810, Fund 810, $1 million there.
Yeah.
Public safety. Why would you be taking money out of public safety for there?
Well, they're just taking public safety interest on $2 million. Whatever that means. Okay.
Well, there's Fund 410. There's the Parkway.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I wonder, is that, let's see, when was this? When was this?
There's 1.5 million.
2021, so they're not talking about the Teague Parkway. They must be talking about the new, I call it the Parkway, but it's not the Parkway. It's the carriageway. Is that what they're talking about?
It's the Parkway and the carriageway.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Arthur A. Teague.
Right, because they're trying to tie that together for uninterrupted north-south travel from North Bossier to South Bossier so they can move the dadgum City Hall of South Bossier and shut all those South Bossier folks up.
That's right. But, you can see, like, they're taking Parkway money out of there. Now, today, we can't hold up because the Parkway, if we hold up today, in the council meeting, it's going to cost us money from the contractors.
So,
right?
folks, y'all remember this as we move into showing you this meeting because somebody was in an awful darn hurry to make sure that those contractors were moving forward on the Walter O. Bigby carriageway, and we had to close the Shed Road railroad track.
All right, now page 6, we got to jump ahead.
Okay, so let me scroll down here.
Now, I think people are getting bored. People are getting bored. We're down to 81 people.
Yeah,
we're losing people.
We're only talking about $30 million in a YMCA / Rec Center / Senior Center. That's all we're talking about. Okay, here we go. Page 6.
Not the YMCA. This is a different project at North Bossier up there by the park. Totally different project. Not YMCA. So page 6. So now the interesting thing here. Now, okay, we at page 6. Scroll down. Maybe I'm looking. I'm missing it. Yeah, obviously I'm not seeing it. Okay. So,
what are we looking for?
Keep going. Keep right. Stop. Back up.
Page 4.
Maybe I missed it. So on page 6, the owner. We're looking for the owner. The owner of the project of this North Bossier, I think you got to
Here we go. The owner and architect may rely on the initial information.
No, that's not it.
All right.
The point is, the owner is listed as Ben Rauschenbach as representative, who is the engineer for the city of Bossier City.
Wait a minute.
Page 6. You are at page 8 right now. You got to go up. You done jumped ahead.
Hold on.
You got to go up 2 pages.
Okay.
This is important, folks. You got to pay attention here.
Well, there we go.
Right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Now look. The owner identified the following representative in accordance with Section 5.4. Ben Rauschenbach, City of Bossier City engineer. Employee of Manshack, consultant, engineering, what have you.
Manshack.
Yeah. So then jump down to the other page that you had.
Okay. Is that page
2 pages. Yeah. Yep, where it showed Manshack. Keep going.
There we go. Civil
right
engineer.
there.
Yeah.
they're listed as one of the or the civil engineer are listed on this project as a company, Manchac, that's doing business on this project. So you've got the representative from the city, a Manchac employee, uh, and then their company also on the project. Huh.
Hmm. Are they double
Huh.
dipping?
Well, I don't know if they're double dipping. I don't know if you can say it's double dipping, but isn't that interesting? I mean, I'm just wondering, is 81 people watching? Do y'all not find that interesting? Does
Yeah.
that not
Eh,
raise a question in your mind?
Yeah, and I want to say that, some of you watching on the Bossier Watch side may not see everybody because we're also streaming on YouTube as well as Louisiana Watch. So that's why you may or may not see the same number of people watching, depending on which stream you're on. But yeah, this is very interesting. Ashley Bullock says conflict of interest much. I
Mandy
don't know.
Foy, AJ Mandy Foy says, "Yep."
Yep.
I mean, I'm wondering. I mean, is that the only two people that get it? Do we need to cover it again?
Well, of course, our good friend Miss Ann Price says, very interesting. And Barbara Bowles Murray says, very much so. Okay. So, but look, I would argue Manchac is, they're stuck like glue to the Bossier City Council or certain aspects of the City Council because Tommy's not living up to his campaign promise. Where's the forensic audit or whatever you promised, Tommy?
Yeah, Tommy is.
I'm blaming
mean,
Tommy.
I got to tell you, this is a hard show because I mean, we're talking about people who I have known all of my adult life, and it's hard.
Well, and
It
look,
really is.
here's the truth of this. Let me throw this out there, and we'll segue on to the next deal. None of this is personal. Again, Tommy's a super nice guy. I've met him a few times. Not like we're big buddies or anything like that at all. But Tommy's a super nice guy. It's nothing personal. This is business/politics.
It is, but you know what? Some people don't view it that way.
Yeah.
Um, I had on here to go to page 24 and 40 and 42 of this contract that in the first of the part of this year that they tried to repurpose this YMCA as what they did.
Yeah, the pig, whole pig and lipstick deal.
Yeah, maybe you scroll through it and show page 24 and then
yeah.
you show page 40 and 42 so that people can go back and look. But it actually shows the numbers of the project.
Page, you say 24?
Yep, page
All right.
24.
Folks, don't get dizzy while I'm scrolling. Stay with us here. Well, we got a compensation page here.
Yeah, that was exactly what I wanted to see was show.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking some big numbers. And, you and I have talked before when we've talked about road construction projects, and there's this thing that's out there that's called the Engineering Brotherhood. Remember that, Rex?
That sounds like a top secret, Mason thing or whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
No offense to any Masons, but
Yeah, no, I mean, but what I will say is that we have talked about the Engineering Brotherhood before, and that there's this pat on the back thing that goes on out there when it comes to taxpayer dollars, construction projects, and the like. And I gotta say, I'm just kind of wondering a little bit if we ain't got some Engineering Brotherhood things going on out here.
Well, we're only talking a few $1,000,000. I mean, that's all.
Now, in addition to that, just so that folks know that we do have a request out to DOTD on some projects that are going on, and we've got sitting there waiting in the wings. Approximately, we're waiting on the Postal Service to do their job, but we're going to get about 600, Rex, you may not realize this, about 642 internal communications regarding a local DOTD project with local community leaders that we'll end up sharing some of that here publicly.
Ooh, that will be fun.
And, those public officials have been communicating to the public about kind of where their position and their role was, and we're going to see was what they were communicating to the public actually what was actually their role.
Our good friend Barry Butler says Bossier City has had 2 major road projects in the last few years, and both have run way over budget and behind schedule.
Yeah. So why don't we move on to the meat and potatoes?
Yes, let's get there. So, the city council meeting. Let me see. I've got that video sitting here waiting, I think.
If today y'all were not watching the city council meeting in Bossier, I mean, look, everybody, I am like all stoked up for Yellowstone. You watch Yellowstone, Rex?
Oh, yes.
Who watches Yellow? I mean, if you're like all amped up about Yellowstone starting like here next week or in a few days or whenever it is, I mean, like I am amped up about it. I'm ready for Yellowstone. I can't wait. Well, I got to tell you, the council meeting today was all of that. It was that. You should have been watching today.
It was very, very interesting, to say the least. So yeah, let's roll through it. So kind of help me out. I got a screen way over here. I'm trying to look at time numbers. We're going to what, 1448 first? Somewhere around
Yeah,
there?
now 1448. We're going to kind of spoon feed y'all a little bit to kind of get you warmed up on watching the videos, because up to this point we've been kind of feeding you anonymous stuff and still cuts, but we're going to get into some video here now. And an interesting thing, we've Rex, we get all this anonymous stuff, and we've been learning things we didn't know, and we got some interesting information about this. This isn't the big meat and potatoes of this council meeting, but at the 1448 mark, the council, they have to do these audits of the city, right?
Right.
Tommy Chandler made this promise that he was going to have a forensic audit of everything that's happening in Bossier. I mean, and obviously that was not accurate.
Right.
But 1448, we hired an accounting firm to
do an audit.
Yeah,
so let's see where that goes. Here we go. Maybe just a few seconds ahead of this. Here we go.
Adopt an ordinance authorizing and approving the engagement of Hurd McElroy Industrial LLC to provide professional services to audit the financial statements of the City of Bossier City, Brookshire Grocery Arena Fund, Fireman's Pension and Relief Fund, and Policeman's Pension and Relief Fund. Final reading.
So moved.
sorry.
No shopping around.
So,
all right, so I'm going to pause it right there.
Professional service,
Right.
Which, okay, I get it. Professional service, you don't have to bid it out or what have you.
Right.
Now, interesting thing. Did you know that Hurd McElroy Vestal, and I'm not saying anything against this firm, I think they are actually a good firm. I don't know a lot about them.
Their reputation precedes them.
I'm not saying anything
yes.
negative about them whatsoever, but I have it on good authority that they did. They used to do. They may even still do. I don't know if they do or they don't, but I have it on good authority that they used to do Link Coleman stuff. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. That's kind of interesting. That's the same Link Coleman that we don't even know what the whole tab on that whole fiasco is for the taxpayers yet.
Yeah, that thing that's like got a gag order on it, and you can't know how much the Parkway, really costs.
Right, and the sidewalk to nowhere for all you South Bossier folks out there.
Yeah, did you know that, Rick? You didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't know it was the same CPA firm, but that's good consistency, I guess. I don't know.
Well, let me digress a little bit. Did you know that one of your councilmen up there maybe used to work for Hurd McElroy Vestal?
Oh, is that what, the new guy, Chris Smith?
No, no, that guy didn't work for them.
Maybe it's my city councilman, which I hadn't heard from either, by the way. But of course, I hadn't reached out to him. Maybe it's Jeff Free.
No, no, you missed it again.
Don't tell me that the king was once a paltry CPA or worked for an accounting firm. Maybe he was the insurance guy for the accounting firm.
I got it on good authority that the king's first job was working with Hurd McElroy Vestal.
Oh.
Now, isn't it interesting that now here today on a professional service, they're doing the stuff for Bossier City.
Well, King David doesn't like to shop around. He's made that abundantly clear. Bossier City does not shop. They don't shop, so they go on his recommendation.
I mean, look, I would argue that they did good by him because look at where he's at today. I mean, he's done well for himself, so I mean, why should he not reciprocate? And I'm not saying that's the case.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just telling you what people are saying to us and sending to us. Isn't it interesting? I wonder, did all the other councilmen, did y'all know that King David formerly worked for this firm?
Wait a minute. We have a new hashtag that I have to put on the screen. Kaylee Larkin says, hashtag the King effect. That's awesome.
I'm wondering if he disclosed that to all the other councilmen. I'm wondering.
Well, I don't know. If he used to work. I mean, look, he's been on the city council for, 2 decades now? When you say 20 years, that doesn't have as much impact as 2 damn decades now. So
he said 20 years today. I mean, good grief. Okay.
2 decades, folks.
Yeah. All right. So that was just
Yeah, fun little fact. Okay. Moving on.
31-33. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. Shed Road closure.
Yeah, that's what we all want to hear about. Let's see. 31.
The council proposes the ordinance that they're going to close the Shed Road ordinance. Now, they're going to close Shed Road, the crossing there, right?
Yeah.
Last week, you may remember, Manchac shows up, says, "Oh, we got to close this thing, or the Walter O. Bigby carriageway is dead and dying, done. Got to get it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Got to hurry up.
Blah, blah, blah.
And the railroad is basically blackmailing the city. Either y'all close Shed Road or we're not giving you the permit to get right-of-way usage to complete the end of the Walter O. Bigby carriageway and go over the cross of the tracks. They're not going to give them, and I'm saying this specifically for a reason, folks. They're not going to give them right-of-way usage.
And by the way, it's not Manchac's fault. It's NTB's fault.
Yeah.
It's
Remember,
NTB's fault.
Remember, they had a special meeting to throw NTB under the bus, but magically and interestingly, they just simply voted to delete that item from their special meeting, and nobody even discussed it. Not even the last standing amigo, Chris Smith.
Fire NTB.
Fire
NTB, them rascals. They screwed Bossier City, right?
Well, let's see what they might have to say here. What's this guy's name coming up?
Well, I've heard of this dude around Bossier before, but there's this guy named Tommy Harvey, not the Toyota salesman, but Tommy Harvey. He's been around Bossier before a time or two.
Well, let's see
and
what
he's got some choice words to say.
Here we go. Fire in the hole. We'll be coming up here in a few seconds. And we're down to 75 people. Folks, tag some friends, call the councilman and all that. Let them know we're talking about all the councilmen and making fun of all of them.
Motion carries.
And we don't really have to when we have people like this guy coming up.
Permanently closing Union Pacific Railway located at Old Shed Road, City of Bossier City, and authorizing Mayor Thomas H. Chandler to execute any and all documents necessary to effect said closing. First and final reading.
So moved. Second. Any questions from the audience?
Oh, yeah, there's a question.
Drum roll, please.
And it's coming.
Mr. Harvey, state your name and address, please, sir.
Tommy Harvey, 108 Esplanade Court, Bossier City. Mayor Chandler, President Williams, and City Council.
I love the way he says, Mayor Chandler.
Here that we're considering closing a east-west thoroughfare, partial or any thoroughfare. In July of 2007, the City of Bossier approved resolution number 26 that included the Shed Road right-of-way for a cost of $1.6 million. 13 years later, with construction cost overruns, various change orders, supplement engineering designs, and additional $305,000, upgrading Shed Road from 2 lanes to 4 lanes was complete. The total amount spent for the Shed Road upgrade was over $9.8 million.
Now stop
Thankfully,
that.
this was an
Okay,
80-20
let's
split.
pause right there.
With this,
Put on the brakes.
Now, did y'all hear that? He just said we expanded Shed Road to 4 lanes, and we spent $9.8 million to expand Shed Road and like make it a major thoroughfare, I guess you could say, from east to west.
Yeah, and
$9.8 million of your dollars.
now was that the expansion from basically Walgreens over to Benton Road? Was it that area?
I don't
That's
know
where
if
they put
that
that-
was all that it encompassed.
I know that
but-
was at least part of it, because they put a middle turning lane in there, and it was all uneven and all that for a while they were doing that. So,
But apparently, we only think north and south, but apparently, east and west is not a consideration. So, if any of you travel up and down north and south on Benton Road or north and south on Airline Drive, I wonder what you think about the importance of being able to travel east and west, because not everybody is probably going to hold the same ideals as you about being able to travel east and west.
yeah, and Candy Barnett says, I thought it was 11 million. 9 million, 11 million. What's a few million here and there? All right, shall we continue?
3445. If you
Okay.
can jump up to that.
Sure, let's get over there. All right, here we go. I'm ready whenever you are.
Go.
All right.
last Monday was the first that I had heard that the railroad crossing at Shed Road would be closed. The engineering design always included that Shed Road would be connected to the carriageway. Now, however, because someone dropped the ball, Union Pacific wants to play, let's make a deal. We both
Wait a minute. Because somebody dropped the ball. NTB dropped the ball, right? That's
Well,
what the city
that's-
council told us by posting their agenda and having a special meeting.
No,
I want to remind everybody they publicly said it was NTB's fault.
Now, you can't say it was NTB because it came from Chandler's office. So, was it Chandler?
I'm
was
saying that Charles Jacobs had put it on the agenda, requested it to be on the agenda of a special meeting, and the city council called it to fire NTB. The city attorney, who apparently didn't read that contract very well, because then all of a sudden, oh crap, they had to vote to just remove it from the agenda and let's not even talk about it. Like Fight Club. If we don't talk about it, maybe it's not there and whatever.
Tommy, we know you're watching. Jacobs, we know you're watching. You're more than welcome to chime in and correct the record here.
Yeah, call or text, we'll let you join in live.
We'll let you join in on the show, and we can talk openly about it. Let's join in. There's no point of order here. Let's do it.
Yeah, y'all can say what you want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
We're big boys, we can take it.
35-29, and Tommy Harvey's words. I got to tell y'all, if y'all can go back and watch the council meeting, it's worth watching all of his words from beginning to end. We're cutting through a lot of stuff,
Right.
but I got to tell you, everything he said was point on. This guy was rock solid. I mean, Tommy's no new guy. He was a councilman. He was the former councilman. He didn't run for re-election. You guys got to watch. I mean, anyway, 35-29. Roll with it.
All right, here we go. More of the City Council Clown Show, according to Mandy Maddox.
executing certain construction easements necessary for the completion of the Walter O. Bigby Carriageway project, end quote. If closing this crossing is justified because there have been numerous accidents at this crossing, then we should probably close half the crossings in Bossier. But
yeah,
that would
good
be
point.
ridiculous, even though Union Pacific would love it. I'm asking you to please take time and look at this from all points of view. Closing a railroad crossing should be a well thought out and thoroughly studied action. Please consider the businesses in that area, traffic safety, and long-term effects of closing this crossing. Thank you.
I'm gonna pause it right there. Before we start on and commentate on his. I told y'all if you said Shane's name 3 times, he would show up. And presto, the formerly going to be the CAO, Shane Cheatham, is now watching. We're glad to have you, Shane. Thanks.
I gotta say, if Shane Cheatham had been Tommy Chandler's CAO, I don't believe that Tommy Chandler would be tripping over his feet and be David Montgomery's doormat
Ooh.
to this point.
Ooh. And
But
nothing against Amanda,
obviously,
but yeah, I agree.
obviously, Tommy doesn't have the foresight to realize that when he abandoned everybody who got him to where he was, that, you know, he might ought to listen to somebody that got him to where he was. I don't know.
Maybe so, or at least somebody that's willing to stand up. Okay. So back to this Tommy Harvey. This guy's spot on.
Tommy's spot on. Tommy always was. I mean, he's a good guy. I mean, Tommy didn't run. I think Tommy would have run again. He recognized he was going to be up against a force to be reckoned with in Maggio, and he just did. He didn't run again. And
That's fine.
but on this deal, look, Maggio went the right way. So
Oh yeah, he did.
it's a wash. I think so. In this case, I think both we got two good guys here in Tommy Harvey and Vince Maggio on this issue. We got something happening here. So 36-24. Y'all think this was something? Wait till you see when MTV steps to the mic. Oh my gosh.
Oh, the guys who were accused or were about to be fired. So let me see. All right, we'll just have to play up a few seconds. Here we go, folks. Fire in the hole.
Now, I'm not sure if I got it in the notes, and maybe we need to stop right here and
My name
jump
is
ahead,
Paul
Rex.
Rossini with NTB.
All right, so that's Paul Rossini.
Now, what most folks don't know is this guy is the head of NTB, right?
The ones who were accused of doing whatever to be fired.
Yes, we gotta jump back ahead to Humble Pie. We got to jump back. I'm sorry, you got to jump back. You got to go back ahead of YMCA. You got to jump back, and a lot of people may not have realized that over the weekend I kept sharing these memes called Humble Pie. There was one in particular that really jumped out at me.
Okay, so let me get, give me a second here. Let me get back to this, and let me get that out of the way. And, where's the humble pie? Here we go. Hold on. Yep, that's it. All right. Are we ready to share that out? Correct.
Yes, it's just a meme, but you gotta share this first.
Okay, so let me go back. All right, here we go. Boom. There we go. I'll put it right between us. A little humble pie.
No, there's no words to this meme, but
Right.
I love it because I think it's descriptive of what just happened today. And a lot of people will never know what happened in Bossier City since Friday to today.
Yeah,
And-
there's been some scrambling, folks. There's a
And
lot of
this-
stuff that happens behind the scenes that that the public doesn't know about. Let's just put it that way.
I did say jump back ahead. What does that mean? Am I crazy?
Take one step back and one step forward, and you end up where the city does.
If I was ever to run for political office, they would totally butcher me. Jump back ahead?
Yeah.
I
All
mean,
right.
How ugly would that be?
Yeah.
So, as a lot of people may or may not know, on Friday, there was a dose of humble pie being put forth in front of all to consume in Bossier City.
Mm-hmm.
And this meme, well done, my friend. I've been practicing. The question today was who actually ate the humble pie? Because there was an email that went out on Friday to all the councilmen and the mayor, and it went out from NTB. And it basically laid out the law on how all this stuff with the Walter O. Bigby carriageway went and how it went sideways. But more importantly, it demanded an apology. Did you know that, Rex?
I had heard rumor that they wanted an apology. I wonder if King David himself is going to apologize. But no, it'd have to be the other Zamboni brother, Jacobs, because Jacobs the one that put it on the agenda for the special meeting.
Now, yeah, so you gotta understand on the 10/25/21 council meeting, you know, he Ben Rauschenberger or whatever with Manshack says that Shed Road, that UP desires that Shed Road has to be shut down. It's got to be shut down. That's
Wait a
it.
minute. You're not going to say what I think you're going to say, are you?
I probably am going to say what you think I'm going to say, but he more or less said that UP said you can take the deal or no deal. I mean,
right.
I think those are words that are in it.
Yeah,
in fact,
that been used.
The 10/23 mark. I mean, I got it in the notes here. Take the deal or no deal. I mean, it was either you shut it down or you don't shut it down.
Well, Ben
or you
said
have no
that.
Parkway.
Ben said that again at today's November the 2nd meeting, and Amanda Nottingham, the new CAO, came up to his side, and basically that's what she heard as well.
Yeah.
At this meeting, with nothing in writing.
They did. At least they're consistent.
Yeah.
but NTB was basically thrown under the bus. NTB on Friday called them all to the mat, demanded a public apology, and they included a little bit more in that email. They additionally included that they contacted Union Pacific, the railroad.
Wait a minute. The contractor actually talked to Union Pacific? They actually talked to the railroad?
Now, it wasn't a part of their contract. They had no requirements to do so, but since they had been disparaged by Bossier City so badly and blamed for
with NTB and Associates, I reside at 1428
Whoops, give me just a second. Let me pause that. Sorry. Okay.
They actually called UP. And as I understand it, have it on good authority, that the road closure wasn't demanded by UP, and that there were options to be able to keep Shed Road open. And I'm going to point out here, and
wait a minute. So
okay,
King David was on his soapbox, and even Jacobs today, and I'm kind of jumping, I think, a little bit ahead in this meeting, but they were all on their soapbox and got to hurry up. If the railroad said this, and the railroad said that you can't do this, and the railroad's basically blackmailing city, closed Shed Road, they went through, there were a total of, 30 accidents in 25 years, so, about one a year that was causing concern for the rail. They went through that whole song and dance and dog and pony crap.
You're
telling me these guys right here on the screen right now, not the guys eating the pie, the guys right there that are fixing to serve the pie, you're telling me that they actually talked to the railroad and that they're saying King David, Jacobs, Ben, and now Amanda, because she stepped up, they're all full of it?
NTB, TRC. Okay, the guy on the left is Paul Rossini, NTB. The guy on the right there walking up, Dirk Crone with TRC. And there's another guy named Don Clayton that walks up here. I mean, these guys are the stuff. These guys are the bomb when it comes to like construction stuff. All right.
Oh, they're like real professionals, not the clown show that we have.
They're not the clown show that we got in Bossier City, right? They walk up here and they end up dropping the mic. And yes, they were serving up the humble pie, and I don't think they're done.
Well, let's listen to them.
I agree.
I reside at 1428 Linton Road in Benton, Louisiana. This is Mr. Dirk Crone with TRC.
8550 United Plaza Boulevard, Suite 502, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 70809.
We represent the design team that's been working on the project, and in light of the statements by the gentleman, let's see, this is Don Clayton. Don, give your address.
Here we go. Three-way tag team. Get them, boys.
4117 Parliament Drive, Alexandria, Louisiana.
So what I'd like to say is last Friday I sent a letter into the city council and the mayor kind of putting forth some ideas that I wish you would consider. And
Now,
I'm
that's
gonna
what
put
I
enter
was
part
just
of that
alluding
into the
to.
record.
Right. Yeah, that's the email or information sent to the whole city council, and I'm
Yeah,
sure
everything
Carbon
I was
copied and
just telling
shared
you,
others.
he just said, "Hey, I sent you guys something on Friday."
All right. Now, Grant Gillian says they are not contractors, but consultants, the design team. Okay, so let's be clear. All right, here we go.
Origins of the Walter O. Bigby project is currently designed as a result of a 5-year process that took many things into consideration, including a permit process. The NTBA design team presented many options in those years to the then city engineer, Mark Hudson, to arrive at a highly functional, aesthetically pleasing facility that until recently, and by all accounts, the city was extremely happy with and proud of. There have literally been years of meetings with many stakeholders who are expecting the current design, least of which is a successful contractor who would build the project. The proposed closing of Shed Road is a drastic change to all that effort, and it's being done in what could be characterized as a knee-jerk reaction.
Whoa.
The surrounding owners and businesses may not even be aware of
Whoa.
this dramatic change on how it may affect them.
He ain't holding nothing back.
No. Smack. Too bad the
Yeah.
camera's not on King David's face.
Excuse me.
I wish we could see King David's face, but I got a feeling he's eating pie over there right about
The original
now.
design team has not been a party to any meetings discussing the closing of Shed Road. In the 5-year design time since 2015 signing the contract, we have never heard that Shed Road was on the table to be closed, and we've not received any requests ourselves from Union Pacific to do so. Prior to
Here
the
comes the
special
mom.
council meeting on Monday, October 25th, I reached out to Clayton Manning at Rail Pros to gain insight into what was transpiring. In that call, I heard that there were still options on the table, 2 of which are to acquire the proper permit, or yes, to close the crossing.
Now wait a minute.
Yeah,
Stop.
I want to stop it right there because they're serving up massive amounts of pie right now.
I mean, this is enough pie to choke King David to death. I mean, this dude is going to have to go see a proctologist to get himself broke loose from all the pie he just consumed.
I'm going to have to put together a video montage of King David and his ilk his folks his other councilmen saying one thing and these guys saying basically the exact opposite.
They just said they talked to the UP. Rail Pro is the representatives for UP in determining this thing, and they basically just laid up there that, hey, UP says to receive the appropriate permit.
So
You know,
I want to propose this question to the 90-something people who are watching right now. I don't like to use the term misspoke because that's stupid. I want to know which of you think that Ben, King David, and the other councilmen that are in on this, hurry the heck up process, are they lying or are these guys from NTB lying? Which one of them's lying about what the railroad said? Because there is a conflict. There's no misspeaking. One group is lying. Which one do y'all think is lying?
who do you believe, the people eating the pie or the people serving the pie?
Which one? Okay, here we go. Fire in the hole. I want to listen to this guy some more. This is my first time actually hearing all this.
We think there needs another step taken and some time considered before you do this. And that's what we have to say. Any questions?
Ooh, do I hear
What
crickets?
would be involved in getting that permit? If you guys been involved all this time and well, you have not been at the table, I guess that's what you just said. But what would that take?
The plans were actually submitted back in 2019 to Rail Pros, the road crossing, for consideration of the permit. And that was in conjunction with the time we submitted the plans for the permit for the bridge. And so it was an ongoing process that Mark Hudson was spearheading. And then when he was replaced, it really just kind of went away.
Whoops. Wait a minute. I thought Mark Hudson was the devil these days.
Well, now Mark Hudson got run off on a rail, I think, and he got run off on a rail to be replaced by Manshak.
Well,
And
he did.
Who did that?
But here's the magic question. Why? And I'm being a little rhetorical with that. Because if you're going to ask the question why, then you have to follow the money and see where it leads.
Yeah, that's true. So,
I want
keep
to put
rolling.
let me put a comment up here. So we can't confirm this because we don't have a different camera angle and we weren't there. Obviously, the news was, but Shane says, I am told King David was trying to get Phyllis's attention and pointing at his watch to get her to stop them from talking. Very surprised we didn't get a point of order. So we can neither confirm or deny that happened, but it sounds plausible. Okay, here we go. You ready?
Yep, roll.
All right, here we go.
So, Dirk, if you'd like to speak to picking it back up.
If you look at the Union Pacific criteria for
Mic drop
getting
inbound.
permit, there is a tremendous amount of information that's required for grade separations, whether it's above or below. But there really is not much being said as what's required for a grade separation. So for years and years, Mark Hudson, in coordination with Union Pacific, made every effort to keep Union Pacific abreast of what's going on. And at no time was there ever anything, and you've got backup documentation here.
Oh, wait, he has
that says
documents.
That ever talked about closing Shed Road. And Don Clayton can speak for that, but I'd like to read one email, one of the latest emails.
Oh, here we go.
That, through coordination with the team, this was the last real coordination with the current representative for the city. And Paul Rosini emailed us and said, I told Justin these two crossings were under Mark's purview since expense and options on what type of crossing to pay for were not in ours. Were not in ours, he agreed. So during the process, Mark Hudson was getting costs as to what it would, to actually have Union Pacific or KCS, the owner of the rail, actually build the crossing. So the responsibility of the city would be to bring the roadway up to the crossing and then pay the railroad to put the crossing in, the actual crossing, because that was under their purview. And so Justin Haydell said, he said, since we left the proper gaps, the city would have to decide to move now or after the construction was complete, which could actually make a smooth crossing more likely. I agree totally with that. Justin would like some of the emails that show how we got to where we are. Then we will set up a short conference call to set the path forward. He pretty much took the stance that they don't have to do anything with the crossing per se right now, which is good for us. Don, if you have any emails for the crossing that has the thread, including Mark Hudson, I would think that's enough to get us to the conference call. Let's see what those are, and I'll get them to Justin. I'd like to say for the record, I've worked in transportation for 36 years.
Oh, here we go.
I worked on projects
Listen up,
as
folks.
high, Central Artery Tunnel Project, $350 million, okay? Mark Hudson was one of the greatest public servants that I've ever had the privilege to work with. And
Whoa.
if he was here, we would not be standing here today.
Drop the mic. Ba-doom.
That's what I believe as a professional of 36.
Now,
You got to stop it.
Now, did y'all hear what he just said, folks? And again, I don't know Mark Hudson from Adam,
I know Mark Hudson.
but I know Mark
know
Hudson
Mark
got
Hudson.
thrown under the bus, and this guy just reached down to try to drag him out from under the bus, and in my opinion, did.
Mark Hudson was not thrown under the bus. He was thrown under the freaking Zamboni.
The
And-
Manchac powered Zamboni.
And who powered that Zamboni? It wasn't freaking Jacobs. Jacobs wasn't even a thought at that point.
Right.
But it was one person. Hudson, this guy right here, just told you everything you need to know.
Yeah. And look, folks, if y'all don't think this is not a clown show sitting up there at that council now, after listening to these guys, and they brought their own documentation, and they were very specific and on point, they sound believable. You know, the thing about telling the truth is, it's pretty darn easy.
Yeah. And the only person that really kind of jumped up and wanted to hear anything else out of these guys was one guy,
Yeah.
Darby.
Darby. Good job, Darby.
I mean, Smith probably would, but Darby beat him to the punch. I mean, but these guys, again, mic drop moment, and there's a whole lot more to this. There is nothing. I can tell you what, Jacobs is telling every one of them council members and the mayor right now, just shut your trap. Don't even
Don't
talk
say
about
a
these
word.
guys. Don't say a word. Turtle. That's what he's saying. He's saying the plan is we're going to turtle because these guys can sue us so bad we'll make Link Coleman look like a day at Happy Jack's Turtle Ranch off of Highway 80 in Halton.
Yeah.
And if you're old school Halton, you'll know what I'm talking about. David Jones will remember that one, but of all people.
Yeah, so I'm just putting some of the comments up there, and look, I don't even know what to say at this point more than we've already said, but that whole deal was suspect from the beginning, and I want you to remember, again, so I'm picking on Jacobs, again tonight, I guess. The city attorney is the one that was sponsoring the ordinance to fire these guys, and he didn't even read the contract. What kind of attorney is that?
It was an ordinance from Jacobs to the council, but I got to tell you, I mean, it was Chandler. It come from Chandler's office.
Well, it may have, but Jacobs should have read the contract first. He's a damn lawyer.
You would think,
and a former judge. Thank God he's not a judge anymore.
Now, if I was him, I would say, well, I was getting all these damn public information requests from Bossier Watch, so I didn't have time to read the damn thing. That's what I would say.
And he
them
would
guys
have a
are sucking all of my time out.
He would have a point there, I suppose, Duke.
But you know what? If I'm Bossier Watch, what I would say in retort to that, I would say, well, that's interesting, because if you're too busy responding to our request, then who is it that responded to our request in the middle of the council meeting today while you were in the council meeting?
Yeah, no kidding.
In your name. Somebody else responded in your name to us while you're in the middle of the council meeting live.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. But I'm
All
not
right.
going there.
Yeah.
I'm not going there.
James Lloyd Collins says Jacobs needs to resign. Now, look, here's the only problem with that, James. If he resigns, whoops, I keep bumping this mic. If he resigns, or if King David resigns, I mean, that's a big chunk of what we talk about right now. Don't do that to us.
No, we can't have that.
Do
we need to lay off of them?
If millions of our tax dollars are going to be wasted, at least we need some little small entertainment value out of that amount of money every Tuesday evening for an hour or two.
So these guys dropped the mic, right? These guys dropped the mic, and Darby smells the blood in the water. Darby moves in. To his credit, Darby, I would argue, being the elder statesman, jumps in. He sees the opportunity. He moves in, and he makes a motion to continue this item, to a future date.
Right.
And of course, at that moment, the king at 4407, he's got to call in support.
Oh, yeah, okay. And so I'm going to roll up to 4407, but I want to put a comment up here. This is Mandy, I don't know how it can be a serious question when you put the word clown in it, too. Serious question, who has to answer for the clown show's unprofessional behavior? All the taxpayers and people in the city of Bossier. Okay, so 4407?
Yeah, Linda Villamoret says Chandler needs to step up. Linda, if you haven't realized it by now, it's not going to happen. Chandler has aligned himself not with who got him elected. He's switched teams.
He may as well stay in Vegas or Dallas whenever the council meetings happen at this point. All right, here we go. So we're close to the 4407 mark. Here we go.
For how long?
At least 30 days, I would.
All right, so that's Darby, I guess, with his motion for an ordinance to delay it.
Speak on this before.
Sure, go ahead.
As far as the businesses, Mr. Rauschenbach, would you please come up
Got to call in the backup.
and speak to that concern?
Here we go.
Sure. And We echo everyone's concern. This is not the time to be running into this type of roadblock. So, with the
We're in a
direction of the
hurry.
council moving towards the meeting today, we committed to the council to go and visit with some of the larger stakeholders out there, one of those being McElroy Metal, one being Bossier Remodeling, one being the energy service providers. Those are big businesses that operate on that corridor. They were aware, albeit surprised, of what was going on. Many of those businesses have granted right of way to the city for the project. The mayor was there.
He speaks well.
Yeah, he does.
Listened to their questions, answered those to the best of our ability, and have indicated really for the design team to move forward, we need some decision by the council. We agree that closing an at-grade crossing is a big deal, and before we can really pick a direction to run, we want to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. I'm not here to make any claims in opposition of what NTB and TRC has indicated specifically.
Did you hear that?
Whoa, yeah. Now, see, and folks, this is the first time I'm listening. I kind of listened to it a little bit this afternoon. This is the first time I've really listened to it. He just agreed with NTB. This is it, because I know what he does, what he says here in a little bit, which is counter to what he just said. He contradicts himself big time. I didn't realize he had just said that.
Oh, yeah. He said he is not there contradicting what NTB or TRC has said.
So he agreed with the mic drop and all the pie that they were serving that the railroads hadn't really worried about closing Shed Road.
Now, later on in this, he acknowledges that the first time he became aware of there being a problem was that Thursday. Remember in our previous show when we talked about that there was a meeting downtown in Bossier where in the mayor, I think it was in the mayor's office, where it was brought to light and they blamed NTB last week. Remember that?
Right.
And
Yep.
I am pretty confident based on what we're told that, and I don't know if it was Ben here, but Manshak went in there and more or less said that it was NTB that dropped the ball. But yet, he's sitting here saying something that contradicts that.
Yeah. Which one is it? And Kaylee Larkin says, who is this child? That would be Ben Rauschenbach, the city engineer who works for Manshak.
So did he steer, as the city engineer, did he steer the mayor and the council wrong? Did he give them bad advice to where for them to jump out there that strongly to fire NTB when clearly NTB was not at fault or wrong?
Well, I'm just going to put it this way. So, folks, if y'all don't like a curse word or two, hold your ears here in about 3 seconds. I'm calling bullshit on this. I mean, somebody's absolutely full of it.
Somebody's lying, and obviously we're not going to talk about that at an open council meeting. They're obviously not talking about it. But
Chris Smith should have said that. Should have said, "Hey, I got a question. Which one of y'all's lying?" See, that's why I couldn't be a councilman. That's literally what I would have said.
For some reason, Chris Smith is, and that's why you're not a councilman.
Right,
I mean, you
never
say
will
what you
be.
think. But for some reason, Chris Smith is too daggum freaking nice, and he doesn't follow through. I don't know.
Chris,
Maybe,
stop being so nice. Be professional, but quit being so nice. You should have asked him point blank. Which one of you is lying? One of you is.
So
all right,
keep rolling here, because there was one other point that
this is pick on Ben night, not Chris Smith. Here we go.
The records we've observed, there was a lot of coordination between the design team, the city, Mark Hudson, and UP. I think at the end of the day, if you were at the meeting, it was less about that, less about what had been decided in the past, and more about we have an opportunity to close an at-grade crossing, and that's what UP wants. The permit is in hand. It's about the agreements with the contractor that's currently working there. That contractor needs an agreement to get on the right of way to do the work, which we can't get. Their claim is that the roundabout is not designed in accordance with MUTCD standards, and other problems that they've got with it. But at the end of the day, my impression was their intent is to see that crossing closed.
All right. Was it his impression or is it what they said? And none of this is in writing.
Nothing in writing. It's all, I was at the meeting, my understanding, my recollection, my blah, 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 they want to see it close. But you just had NTB say they called them and they said, no, it's not that it's a done deal. But yet you got this guy who said at a previous meeting, no, it is a done deal. It's either this or that. Does it almost seem like that you're being forced to take an option, and if you don't take that option, you get nothing whatsoever?
Well, there's an old saying that you can either dazzle somebody with brilliance or baffle them with bullshit. So I'm going to say it again tonight, folks. So who do you think was dazzling with brilliance? The guys dropped the mic and serving the pie? Or who is baffling with all the BS?
Now, who again ushered these folks into Bossier City?
Oh, his company he works for, Manjack?
Yeah, I mean, who was it that kind of like was the hardcore people to push for these folks to be brought into Bossier City? I wonder who that was. I mean,
might be some of the same folks that are about to push real hard in a few minutes at this meeting to hurry up and get it done.
Hurry up. We can't wait. Hurry up. No,
is somebody missing a paycheck? I mean, what's going on? All right, so
4640, there was a point in there that this Ben here talks about how that him and the mayor were running around having those meetings. Now, I thought that was interesting that Manchac and the mayor, Chandler, were all running around because, as I recall, during the election, the mayor, now Mayor Chandler, he had some opposition to Manchac and in fact raised a lot of questions. And I think that was one of the big issues that he raised during the campaign. And
but that was then. This is now. He's got his little crickets to sit over there and play with during these meetings now.
Yeah, but what changed, Rex? What happened that now he's singing the praises of Manchac but before the election, he wasn't? What changed? What happened?
I don't know, but to answer Kaylee, yes, that's Ben right there. Okay, so just because Kaylee asked a question about it. All right. Yeah, I don't know what's changed. I mean, well, I do, but it wouldn't be real nice to say. I don't know what's changed right now because Tommy's office should be all over this the right way, but instead they're not. All right.
Hey, Rex, I tell you what, because this ain't fair. We need to give our opposition a little bit of help, right?
Okay.
You feel like making the fight fair?
Well, we can. One of them wanting to call in?
No. I think after January 1, we'll know the answer. So there. I just gave a hint to the opposition. After January 1, be ready, because I think we'll know the answer after January 1.
Cool. All right. So, all right, 40, where are we going? 4640, that's 10 seconds from here. So I'm going to hit play
4640.
Let's see what Darby has to say.
So we can delay it for 30 days, and maybe there is a path forward to where we don't have to do that. But I still think strongly UP's desires to see that at-grade crossing closed.
Would the 30 days adversely affect the project?
It's hard for me to answer that. I think so.
You think so?
Yes, sir.
And you said that the permit is in hand.
We have permission from UP to build the overpass. I think the original intent was because we were not monkeying with the actual at-grade crossing other than improving the approaches, because if you've driven that route, you know how poor the condition of those are. The intent was to improve the approaches. So there was no permit. I've seen correspondence from UP that indicated, hey, we're happy you're doing this. We may even contribute in paying for that at-grade crossing, but none of that seems to be of any memory on the folks with Rail Pros and UP that we've talked to. So that, I believe, was the reason why there wasn't a whole lot of of energy expended in trying to put a permit together for the at-grade crossing is because there was no real change to that crossing. Now, as part of the permit process, when you're working within a railroad right-of-way, you have to get a right of entry agreement. You have to have inspectors that are on the project that are provided by the railroad. There's got to be money that exchanges hands. There's a lot of energy that happens once you get a contractor involved. They were at the pre-construction meeting, RailPros was, in relation to all of this. We've been trying to coordinate it now for months.
This is like the Charlie Brown
So
teacher
when you
syndrome.
find
I
out-
know. It's
All right,
like
I'm going to
killing
sleep
me.
over here. I want to bring something up that was brought up in the comments, whereas Julie Ferris brought up, and Julie, I completely forgot about that. Julie says Manchac was the one involved in the water billing debacle in Shreveport.
I didn't know that, but
Well,
it's
I
not
just pulled up-
surprising because
Yeah, I just pulled
You
up the Times
remember-
article, and yeah, they're definitely Manchac Consulting.
well, look, Manchac, remember plain dealing when we were talking about plain dealing and the water stuff up there?
Right.
Manchac had their hands in plain dealing up there.
They just got their
So-
hands in everything.
They seem to have their hands in everything, just like King David, Cypress District, Red River Waterway Commission.
These
I mean, there
same
was some-
names keep popping up.
keep popping up. I mean, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. All right.
But- But so before we move completely on, I mean, this guy rattles on forever. And I think Darby ends up asking a question about was there no energy put forward to getting a permit for that crossing? And Ben, with the guy here, says essentially he admits we didn't think that we needed to get a permit for the crossing. He acknowledges that they dropped the ball, that they didn't think that they had to get a permit.
Wow.
So, I mean, he got that out of them. Darby did it. And
Good for Darby.
this Ben ultimately, at the 48 mark, he says there's got to be money exchange hands. Now, I would love to be able to get him under oath and say, what exactly did you mean about there's got to be money exchange hands? I mean, that struck me odd, the words that he used. And then at the 49-20 mark, Darby asks if Manchac had pursued the contribution from Union Pacific to the part, about reconstructing that crossing.
Well,
there.
let's listen to that one. It's about 10 seconds here. Here we go.
That traffic can stack up onto the carriageway and create problems there as well and defeat the whole purpose of having the overpass. So that is one line of thinking.
Okay. Let me ask one other thing before we get to that. So has Manchac pursued that contribution from UP? Since they seem to be receptive to that, has Manchac done that?
Pursued what?
The contribution that they would like to make to the project?
No, we haven't.
So why not?
That's just something we've discovered as we've gone back through and looked at the files. The position of UP, and the mayor was there, the position of UP at that meeting was that they knew nothing of the roundabout, didn't know the roundabout was going. I say UP, this is their I don't know what their RailPros is the company they use to mitigate these issues. And so there were 3 representatives from RailPros at that meeting that indicated we weren't aware of a roundabout. This is all new to us. We want to see the at-grade crossing closed.
I see. So you've gotten the feedback from large stakeholders,
Yes, sir.
and that's great. I'm glad to hear that. Shed Road is part of District 2. And as Mr. Harvey mentioned, we spent a lot on getting that done. It took a long time. It was like a dream come true when it happened. So what have you to share with us about residential impact?
I have not communicated specifically with the residents out there.
Okay, all right.
I think I figured out why Darby has those plexiglass or Lexan shields right there. I don't think it's for COVID.
It's something much worse. It's
Just
that's a
saying, I
Zamboni
don't.
barrier.
Yeah, I don't think it's for COVID.
That's a Zamboni barrier. I don't know if you knew.
Wow. All right.
53-35, David Montgomery finally chimes in. We've been waiting all night. Everybody's been on pins and needles. What did David do?
Yeah, we got to hear from King David. Now, hold on a second. Oh, he's got his hands waiting right there. I can see them in motion right there. Hold on. We gotta give King David his little crown over here. I've been waiting all night to do this. Now, if he'll just hold his head still.
He took some of our advice, and I got to admit, he did better this meeting than he has done yet because he bit his tongue, I think.
He's probably sitting over there bleeding at the mouth. All right, here we go.
For that delay. And at the end of the day, I ask, what are we doing? I mean, the whole intent of the carriageway, and I'm repeating again, is to get people on the other side of the railroad tracks, and that at-grade crossing does not do that. And we all know that train, I think Mr. Maggio said, I had somebody said they sat there an hour and 3 minutes.
Look.
Now, wait a minute. Your office is right there close to that.
I mean, look, if I'm on one side and I'm wanting to get to the other side of the track, being able to cross right there, I think that gets the job done. I mean, what am I missing? Oh, wait a minute, I get it. I need to drive down to East Texas and go west on East Texas and then get on the carriageway, or drive south on Benton Road and then get on the carriageway to be able to cross. But why do I have to do that if you've got a crossing right there?
Right.
Oh, that's right. Because for some unknown reason, we have to close that crossing right there at Shed Road. And ironically, Shed Road, one of the oldest roads in Bossier Parish, right?
Right.
I mean, it's noted in historical books,
Mm-hmm.
but for some reason, we've got to close Shed Road. How does that happen?
I just haven't figured out what the deal is. I mean, the obvious question is why, but what the heck is the answer? I don't understand their obsession with this.
Now, I have a theory,
Okay.
and I'm not going to share it, Rex. I have come to a conclusion. I'm not going to do it. I want everybody watching. That's the $1 million question: is why would you roll over and yell calf rope that we're just going to close Shed Road down? Why? Why are all these guys, Tommy Chandler, the King, why are they wanting to close that crossing down so much? There's one thing I suspect why, and if anybody articulates it out there, I'll acknowledge that was what I was thinking as a possibility.
Well, there's definitely got to be some reason.
Until they do it, I'm not going to say it. But anyway, let's keep rolling.
I'm putting a pet cricket over here on Tommy's desk. Okay, so we got cricket over here and King David over here.
Well, he's going to get his chance, but
yeah, he does. Okay, so where do we want to go next? I could have fun with this all day, and folks, this is mainly because I haven't watched all of this yet.
As usual, King David, he's got to call him back up. Because, he realizes that, to his credit.
Yeah, 58. Yeah, we got to watch this. I don't care if we're at 2 hours. We'll just do a 3-hour show. This is awesome.
Go ahead. We'll do a 3-hour. This is too good.
Yeah. All right. So that's at the 58:44 mark, right? Let me jump up there. 58. Come on, squeeze up there a little bit. It's a little hard to kind of move this deal. All right, we'll just start right there. Oh, we got to move King David's crown over there by him. Hold on. Get everything just right technically for the show. Bam, King David. Okay, here we go.
There's a cricket on the back of Ben there.
Oh yeah, we'll get rid of the cricket for a minute.
I don't know. I don't believe. Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
First, Phyllis interrupts him a couple of meetings ago.
Please come to the mic, and if you could wait. And this gentleman's been hold up, sir.
If you could, please come to the mic.
Mike, he did say that.
I'm speaking right now. I heard you speaking out in the audience.
Kneel before Zod.
Now wait a minute. You got to stop it. He says, "I heard you speaking out in the audience." He said, "Could you, if you're going to speak, come to the mic?" And he said, "I heard you speaking."
Yeah, he told the guy, come to the mic. Clear as day.
Yeah, he told him. Now listen to what King David says right here.
Okay, here we go.
Pardon?
What you want me to say, so.
Yeah, I was speaking to, but anyway, if I could
No.
just,
Hold on one second.
Sure, go ahead, sir.
Now wait a
This
minute.
is a cluster.
Now, interestingly, that guy comes to the mic. He says, "Well, you called me if I wanted to speak,"
Yeah.
and he's like, "Now, what do you think this guy standing up here right now? Is he going to be in favor or against?"
Let's see. Drum roll, please.
anyway, now I've lost my train of thought, but I think, the fact that we have 2 to 3 years to work with the public, work with the businesses to ensure that there is a transition, that they understand how traffic's gonna flow. We're gonna take the time to redesign the roundabout to where it facilitates flow of traffic for all the semi-trucks that are going back to McElroy.
No,
Road
wait a minute.
and
Whoa.
Whoa. Yeah, we gotta
Business.
pause that.
We got multiple things going on right here. For the 100 and something
He's
people
stretching.
watching,
He's reaching.
you got to understand here, we are losing control. So, one, that guy, and I'm pretty sure that was the TCH or the THC guy or whatever, the one that Mike dropped earlier. I'm pretty sure that's the guy, and he basically said, "Look, you pointed to me to come up there and
Right.
speak, and I came up there, but David." Now, the ironic thing was David said, "No, wait a minute. I wasn't talking to you. I was
Right.
talking to this guy standing up here in the burgundy-looking shirt." Now, what do you think this guy in the burgundy-looking shirt's going to say?
Oh, he's going to come up there and say, "No, y'all need to shut this down for 60 days, not 30 days." And King David,
no.
you're wrong.
No.
Surely not.
Now, this guy gets up there and says, "I think you need to shut it down and you need to get that overpass because I live in
Right.
South Bossier and I want to get to North Bossier."
Oh.
He comes up there and supports David, but yet David just shot down the other guy to come up there. I mean, it's almost like that was
It was
orchestrated.
staged.
It was
Yeah.
almost like it was staged, but the other guy,
Wow.
I mean, the THC guy or whatever kind of busted up the party a little bit and was ready to call David out. And David was not prepared for it.
Well, he wasn't going to have any of that. Okay.
I may have read that wrong. I don't know. You watching, did y'all not catch it? Did you not see it?
Well, all right. So, let's see. 104. We got to get our congressman involved. All right. Yeah. This is interesting. What I forget what the guy in the red shirt did actually say. He was in support of it, right?
Yeah,
support of
he
the
was in support
resolution.
of it.
Okay.
Get it done, but it's not about being against the overpass. Everybody's in favor of, I think, the overpass over the railroad tracks to be able to have an access over
Right.
it. But it's about closing down one of the oldest roads in Bossier City. I mean,
Yeah,
that
just
is the
stopping it
problem.
right there. Yeah. All
You
right. Here.
spent $9.1 million to upgrade Shed Road for an east-west corridor to relieve traffic off of Airline and Benton and to be able to get across. And you're just, that was for nothing,
Yeah. And
you know?
And I want to point out real quick, we've still got 96 people at 2 hours and 33 minutes. And I know some of you have been watching or at least listening while you're doing other things around the house to us pretty much the whole time. So we really appreciate that. This is a lot to cover, but this is important here, folks. We've got lying, just flat out lying going on. King David is getting flustered. I mean, this is crazy. Yeah, I agree. Ashley, I'm surprised he hadn't called for Phyllis to jump in and bail him out yet. All right, here we go. This is the 102.44 mark. Is that where? Yeah, that's where we wanted to go, right?
I think this may be Darby looking for, what is the alternative plan?
All
Roll
right.
with it.
All right.
Is that gonna hurt any, what's that alternative plan? I
Yeah,
guess?
so I just wanted to interject this. There's no path forward without a redesign of that intersection, okay? I think the ability to
Really?
have an at-grade crossing at Shed Road, this is my opinion, for what it's worth. I'm not Mark Hudson, but my opinion. the
He is
ability
not
to
Mark
cross
Hudson, no
there
doubt about that.
is remote. It's remote. But there's no path through this, whether we close the at-grade crossing or not, where that intersection does not need to be redesigned.
Wait a minute, redesigned or closed?
City engineering office don't want
apparently
to
closed.
engage in that effort.
Make up your
until
mind
we
there,
have
Benny boy.
A direction forward. So I
Now,
think it's important that
when
we still have to work.
when it came to their attention, they didn't come, which was that Thursday, and he acknowledges in this video that it was on a Thursday. They didn't seek to redesign any damn thing. What they sought to do was to have NTB fired as the contractor for breach of contract for not getting things done. And he ends up saying that they went to the council, but they went to Tommy Chandler's office. And
then it was Drama Central, and David Johnson put up a comment. I'm going to throw it out here real quick. It's actually pretty simple, but 4 years and we're still walking in circles, get it done. I agree, David. I mean, this is silly. They have to have this entire meeting, which was over an hour. We're sitting here talking about it for a couple hours to kind of break it all down over something that's just dumb.
Now, Ashley Bullock, the king, did not call on Phyllis today. For whatever reason, he didn't call on Phyllis, but he did call on Jacobs. He did call on backup, no doubt about it. But
Those Zamboni brothers stick
today.
Together.
Yeah, you better believe it. So,
okay. Let's see how much more do we have.
So he sought to have NTB fired,
right?
You know, and it turns out it was actually Manshak's responsibility, his responsibility, and tried to put it off on NTB. And so Scott Irwin, the appointee in that South Bossier district,
I must have missed this. Yeah, South Bossier folks, and there's still 90-something, almost 100 people watching right now. So South Bossier folks, this has got to be hilarious. So that's at, what, the 105 mark? Let me skip up there real quick.
This is y'all's guy. He chimes in, and he's got just a brilliant idea for Benton Road. So anybody like me who travels up and down Benton Road, this is what he had in store for you.
And potential traffic backups, and I like to see traffic flowing, not stopped at a red light. There'll be a lot of traffic going north.
Agree with that.
A lot of traffic going south.
Sounds good.
If we take the roundabout out at the Shed Road crossing, look at the potential of putting in a efficient roundabout at Benton Road and the Parkway, and that way.
Wait a minute.
What
Mr. Harvey was saying? The traffic that may be coming down our improved Shed Road could zigzag north if they're heading west, and quickly loop around that loop and go down the Parkway, and it would be a win-win situation.
Win-win.
Yes, it's a little.
Now wait a minute.
But they're not ever stopped by a train, and they're not stopped by a sick
feedback from.
So,
no, I like Scott Irwin as a person. I mean, that's the trouble with doing these shows. That's the trouble with doing these shows and doing all this. I like a lot of these people personally. I like talking to them. They're pleasant people, whatever. But, okay, and I'm going to say it in this way, and I don't use this term that often. This jackwagon ain't never been up Benton Road, obviously at 5 to 6 o'clock in the afternoon, because the traffic freaking backs up all the way to Allison Brigham's office on Benton Road, which would be right where that roundabout is.
That's been my contention the whole time. This whole parkway is a moot point until they do something about the Benton Road traffic, which is nearly as bad as the Airline Drive traffic. You're not making a relatively decent trip from North Bossier to South Bossier.
Now,
carriageway or not.
Now, he keeps
Benton
rolling.
Road's a disaster, yeah.
It's a disaster. He keeps rolling, but he ends up talking about something that's going to end up being a common denominator in everybody's speech all the way to the end of this. And y'all got to pay attention to this because they end up kind of contradicting themselves in what they're talking about, and they don't even realize what they're saying. They don't even realize it. So,
all right, so are we going to the 107.50 mark to get King David again?
Yeah, I'll jump ahead and I'll save you the point.
Okay.
Scott Irwin ends up talking about the truck traffic, and he's talking about semi-truck traffic.
Oh, around the roundabout?
Yeah, that's what he ends up talking about that and how significant that is. But and we'll make the point of why that's significant coming up here in a second. So, David Montgomery, roll with it.
All right, here we go. King David.
Traffic flowing, regardless, so that's my opinion.
This whole project is about north-south traffic.
Correct.
The origins, 20 years ago, Mr. Darby was here, Mr. Williams was here. We made a commitment that we would continue the Arthur Ray Teague Parkway. It stopped at what is now Diamond Jacks. The voters had always, when they passed the original tax, wanted that parkway to continue north. That's what we're talking about, is moving people from north and south throughout the city without a railroad crossing. Am I correct?
You're correct, sir.
Now, who said that?
I think that was Ben.
We're trying to cloud.
Ben Rauschenbach. Where the hell was he? Was he
20
in
years
Mercer
ago.
back then, 20 years ago?
He ain't that old.
Traffic flow. We're bringing in this east-west corridor as if that's
You
going
hear
to make
that?
a huge difference.
We're
when in
trying to
fact,
cloud the
this
picture
roadway
with an
is about
east-west
north-south
traffic flow.
Traffic flow, and continuing what the voters voted on. What year was it that was originally voted on, in the 80s? The tax for the Arthur Ray Teague Parkway, somewhere around there.
I've tried to
And,
tell
you
y'all
know,
that this is
I
a
think
north
it's
versus south thing
imperative
over and
that
over.
We continue forward. We have a contract in place. We have a
Now,
contractor.
Barry
that's
Butler,
moving
I'm
forward
going to
and
correct you a
expecting us
little
to
bit.
do what
Again,
we're
if
gonna
you
do.
travel to Homer
UP has
and go up Highway
clearly stated
79, or
that
whatever the highway is right there, there's a roundabout on the
that
north side of
closed.
Homer, and the
And
trucks go around it relatively well.
we, on this council,
It's designed for that. I don't know about the one on Benton
my
Road
20 years that I've been on here,
or the carriageway.
negotiating with the railroad is non-existent.
Now wait a minute, stop it right there. I've had
Brakes.
all I could take of King David.
Okay, good. I
He
was getting
just
bored.
said, and we're going to go that and go backwards. He said in his 20 years of there's no negotiating with the railroad. Wrong.
Burn.
Obviously, that jackwagon doesn't watch Bossier Watch, because had he watched Bossier Watch, he would know that in his 20 years, there has been a successful negotiation with the railroads, because David Jones and the former city attorney successfully negotiated with the Benton Road overpass right there by the sushi place.
Yeah, you were told the story, and David Jones, former city councilman, was on the show and confirmed it, or was in the comments and confirmed it. Now, I want to put a comment up from Holly.
Him and Jimmy Hall did it.
Yeah,
they got it done.
To infinity and beyond. That was the name of our, I think, last show, whichever one. Holly Cole says, "Oh, now he cares about the voters, just not when they go up and attempt to exercise their right to speak. He is such a horrible representative of the people of our city. He's still king, so it doesn't matter how horrible he is."
Now, that's not the only thing that he's wrong on. He's talking about what the intent was, way back when for the Parkway. He's saying the intent was from South Bossier to North Bossier unfettered. That's bullcrap. That was not the original intent. The original intent was for that parkway to dead end at Hamilton Road, and it was then going to be a 4-lane to Highway 80. That was it. The crap from Highway 80 to Benton Road, that came after the fact. That came after the fact. It was not an original plan from South Bossier all the way up to Benton Road. That was not the original plan. He is dead wrong on that.
So surely he's not lying.
I don't know what
Stretching the truth, maybe?
Yeah. So
all right.
He called on Jacobs. Jacobs didn't do a good job the first time, so Jacobs is going to give it a try the second time around.
Yeah, that's a 111 Mark 20. All right, so let me jump up there real quick. Here we go.
And we actually don't have to show that, but
Okay.
I'll summarize if you want to jump past that. He ends up basically saying we could lose potentially anything.
Oh, yeah, talking about if they delay it for 30 days, that NTB or whoever else the contractor is could turn around and sue them for harm to their business and loss of income and whatever else. And that's lawyer speak.
Yeah, he's trying to sow the message that if you guys choose to continue this or delay it, we could lose anything. There's no limits to what we could lose. The losses could be so great that we may not could recover. I mean, who could recover from Link Coleman, right?
Yeah, here I'll throw in a quick tidbit about that. Folks, if y'all go back and listen to the whole meeting, you'll see that he does it at King David's urging and prompting. So just listen carefully because it's pretty easy to see that. All right, so where are we going to jump to next? 117, what kind of incidents?
Now, David Jones chimed in on the thing. I guess I prompted him out of his nap from retirement.
It's the Beetlejuice effect.
But he posts a really good point. He says, how many days would the NTB release have cost? Now, they were fixing to fire NTB. He's absolutely right. They were fixing to fire NTB, and they had no, obviously all of the council and the mayor had no problem with that delay. How long of a delay or how much would that have cost? That wasn't a problem then, but now, with Darby and Smith proposing a continuance, we're talking doom and gloom, the end of the world, the end of Bossier City right here now.
Yeah, I know.
But just 1 week ago, they were fine with any delays. It didn't matter the damn cost.
Right. Oh yeah, they were fixing to get sued. I mean, they completely set themselves up for a lawsuit, as a matter of fact. All right, so the next one's what, the 117 mark? Yeah.
Yes, Jeff Free. I haven't heard Jeff Free make a comment yet, but Jeff Free finally speaks. And in the one moment that he speaks, I think it's worthy of being heard.
Here we go.
I don't know, in the last 6 months, they gave us statistics for about the last 25 years, and it was close to 30, which they said.
In 25 years?
Doesn't sound like a lot, but they said they have some in the Dallas metro area that have one. So statistically for them, it is very high.
Okay, you thinking it has occurred in the last 12 months?
I don't have that information. I wouldn't want to speak on that.
Been closed for probably the last 4 or 5 for other construction through there.
Last 24 months.
I don't know.
Now, they've been talking about, citing the incidences that have happened at that crossing, but nobody ever asked the question, well, what exactly were the incidents that happened? I mean, look, I freaking worked down there in Bossier City for 20 years, and I can't recall in my 20-year career, it may have happened, but I can't recall there ever being an incident down there. I don't recall one. So I would want to know specifically what were the incidences that you're citing that happened. And I would go back to Tommy Harvey's comments that if the railroad had their way, they would close down every crossing in Bossier City. Every single freaking one.
Right.
So once you close one of these crossings down, you're never, ever going to get it back. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So these jackwagons wanting to close these crossings down or just willy-nilly without any huge oversight, that is short-sighted, to say the least.
Yeah, it is. And interestingly enough, when Chris Estes got up and spoke, which I can't remember if that's at the 122 mark. And what's his name? Brad Zagoni, the fire chief?
Yeah, Zagoni.
Neither one of them were prepared at all to have any real stats.
No, they didn't have any stats. And I'd point out one more thing. Someone had watched the council meeting and they messaged me after the council meeting and they said, of all the instances that took place, how many were as a result of the poor shape of the crossing there on Shed Road? How many were because of that? Because if you've been across that crossing, you know that it'll knock your front end out of alignment. Mm-hmm. Nothing been done to that damn thing in probably 20, 30 years.
Right.
I mean, and whose feet does that lay at? The council and the mayor. I mean, anyway, roll on 117. We got to get to Jeff Free.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. Is it at the 117 even mark?
I think you keep playing. I think you'll get there.
How many trains that track? I mean, how many times they use that track in a week?
UP in a week, I don't know. That UP had indicated that it's not, I'm thinking of a different crossing. So I don't know specifically.
If they used it every day, one time a day for 30 minutes, we're gonna close it 24/7.
He's got a point.
For an hour a day, basically. I mean, they just dictate to
Kinda
us
like
which
E.F.
city
Hutton.
streets we're gonna close and leave open.
My city councilman finally speaks, and it's worth it.
They did say
I
they're
keep saying,
running.
get your congressman, call them, and let's get on them, but
They're
Paging
told
Mike
to be 3
Johnson.
miles
Paging
long.
Mike Johnson.
Paging.
if you look down,
Extremely long.
coming back down Benton Road out there, out of the parish, that's the same track right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they
So,
using 3 and 4 tracks out there, and they're sitting
Jeff
there waiting.
obviously is articulating his disgust with that. I mean, maybe he knew, maybe he didn't know how powerful the railroads are. I think he knew. I think he was just simply making the point. At what point are we going to fight? When are we ever going to kind of stand up and fight for stuff, or are we just going to roll over and die? Well, obviously, the king wants you to just roll over and die. Now,
Get
his
it done
reasonings, get it done. We can't wait. We can't fight them. Let's not fight. Let's just.
And I want to bring up one other side point here too that was mentioned during this meeting. I don't know what time it was. I heard it while I was listening in my truck, but the city is supposed to be able to fine the railroads if the train blocks an intersection for over, I don't know what the number is 30 minutes or whatever it's supposed to be. I don't know. But they may mention in here that they don't even try to enforce that because they said they don't know who to send the tickets to.
Yeah, look, when I was a fireman down there, I mean, I remember when we got to a train, we would report it over the radio. That the way it was recorded. If we were held up, and it depended on the patient if we had to wait or not, and then it would clock the delay, and then there was a process.
Right.
But we never waited. We diverted. We would catch I-20 or however we needed to go. And there's a lot more questions to this and points. The fire chief and the police chief end up getting up here and speaking. I've got some criticism for them as well, too, on the position that they articulate. Basically, they're figureheads, and they I'm going to stop. I'm going to be politically correct a little bit. But I didn't completely agree with everything that they said. They're right, but they're also wrong. But in this whole debate, what have you seen that's been absent from this whole debate so far?
That's been absent from the whole debate?
Yeah,
Other than King David calling for a point of order, he never uttered the words.
There's that. You're right. There's that.
Sorry.
But you've heard Don Williams, you've heard Darby, you've heard Montgomery, you've heard Smith. You've even heard Irwin. Everybody.
We hadn't heard from the railroad themselves, though.
Well, you ain't heard from the railroad. That's true. But there's somebody that you've not heard a damn word from up to this point.
You talking about Cricket Boy down there?
Yeah, Cricket Boy has not. Tahoe Tommy is absent. Where is he at?
I gotta watch the names. Tommy, if I see you at Strong's again, I'll buy you breakfast or whatever. But Cricket Boy is a good one.
Well, let's see what Mr. Chandler has to say on the subject matter. I think
where
he's
is he
prompted.
at? He's at the 119 mark, so I got to back up a little bit.
Is.
All right, we'll give Tommy does actually speak, so I guess I need to take the cricket comment back. Here we go.
Something they were willing to pass along to look into.
In 2 years, and I go north-south all the time. It's horribly inconvenient to me. I'm not speaking for everybody.
Mr. Mayor, what's your thought? What say you?
Well, thank you, sir. I was with Mr. Rauschenbach, and we did go talk to all the owners.
Right, palling around with Ben.
That's
nice to know.
Each and every one of them. And they were, they understood. And they all
He's
agreed
trying to
that,
be sneaky to get that forensic audit in there when they least suspect it.
And as what Mr. Smith said earlier, it would, on Shed Road, it would kind of close that up. People had to go left or right. Well, that train is going to be there because our family has a business.
Yeah, where
right
is
just behind
Vince
there.
right now?
And it's closed anywhere from 45
Vince
minutes
left
to
the
an
building.
hour all the time. That's why I used to call President Williamson and tell him, and I would be upset because I'd be hung up by it.
Ashley
People going west on Shed.
Ashley brings up
They're
a
gonna be
point.
stopped right there
The mayor had to
at
be
that
called
light.
on to
They're gonna have
speak.
to go
That's
left
the
or right. They're
whole
gonna go. That
point
train's gonna
right
be there
there,
for a long
Ashley,
time.
that I'm trying
As
to
they're
make.
coming down that carriageway and they want to go east on Shed, it's gonna block up all that and go on to the parkway. So what good is the parkway with it all blocked up right there when it's not gonna
Now,
Blah, blah, blah,
if
blah, blah.
if they knew that they were going to have that crossing and it was going to block up the parkway, why how many years did they go back talking about how this project's been going?
Right.
If they knew it was going to block up the carriageway, why were they including it in the project for all these years up to this point?
Yeah, that's a good point. And Dawn Thomas had a good point. She said, there you go. Did you hear him? Family business.
He
this
did
whole-
say family business. He did say that.
I just don't understand what the rush to close that dadgum crossing is.
Yeah. Now,
all right.
Keep rolling with it. Keep rolling
Okay,
with it.
here
Because
we
he's
go.
going to get he's going to raise an issue again.
And
But that railroad, that train isn't there all day.
it's there at least three times a day, and it blocks the traffic at least 3 times a day.
8
It
o'clock,
only-
12
it only-
o'clock, and 5 o'clock, right?
Yes, sir, and
Tommy?
that's why everybody's upset. It's always on the.
It's
time they gotta go
almost
to
as
lunch
if
and time they come
David
home.
and Tommy Chandler
And,
are
and it-
Big
synchronized
buddies,
and working
yeah.
together.
Those Texas
They
and
had that
Barksdale,
speech
too.
prepared.
And that's kind of, I think it'd do like a shift change or something like that, and the guys taking their time getting off the train and whatnot too.
I've seen them get out
Going
of the
to
engine,
So-
get out of the engine,
so the
go
police
and eat at the
jury-
restaurant, and I've
So the police jury is anti-fracking, and the city council is anti-railroad. I mean, you just heard them sitting there accusing the guys on the train getting off and going to eat and then coming back to the train.
Yeah, they're going to eat at Strong's or
Yeah, take their time.
Chicken Fish or wherever.
Wow.
All y'all running up and down Benton Road and Shed Road and all that. I mean, y'all having to wait on these folks going to UP and all them going to eat, lunch.
I'm sure Bubba Don was just kind of being a little facetious there, but Chris, you should have called him out and said, really, Bubba Don, do you have video of that? Anyway,
Okay.
I digress. All
Keep
right.
rolling.
Yeah, we gotta get
ends
through
up
this.
Tommy ends up talking about trucks on the parkway.
I am concerned about all the residents and the businesses. That's why I went with Mr. Rauschenbach, because I wanted them to know that I was concerned, and I said, look, this is probably gonna happen. Is it gonna affect those businesses? And they with the ones already on Shed Road with Bo's remodeling and all that, they were kind of really not, I mean.
Where's Jeff going?
He's done had
their
enough
business is
too.
blocked up the whole time that train's there, because there's all these cars all in front of their business. They can't go leave or come back in. So, and it's just, and it'll be easier for McElroy. It's gonna be hard for them to, and those real long trailers to go around that
You hear that?
circle with all that weight,
With all that
turn
weight and
that
them
corner. So,
them semi-trucks with them
Trucks.
trailers
Maybe reconsider a roundabout right there.
and them
If
roundabouts.
you put a roundabout down at Benton Road, it's gonna take up so much property,
Oh, well,
What?
Tommy just
Take it
Tommy
down
just
to
argued
the
against
closure.
Irwin's idea.
I'm sorry to say, sir, but, I mean, I'm not sorry, sir, and I won't say I'm sorry to say.
Well,
Is
he?
I am I believe it'd make a lot.
What is he for?
Traffic to flow a lot better on the carriageway, yes, sir.
Okay.
Shane, you should have run down there and threw him a life jacket.
Jump in.
A real
What did-
life jacket.
What did he just say?
I don't know what he
I don't
said.
know
I
what
don't know
he's
who he
talking
was
about,
agreeing with or not. I know something about roundabouts and big trucks.
I listened to it on the radio.
This is Brad
Diverted
Zagoni.
to the train, diverted to the
Zagoni.
train. Heard it 3 times yesterday. When they block right now and we pick up somebody, near your store, we have the only hospital in Bossier, Willis Name.
Now wait a minute.
We gotta go.
You
all
got to
the way-
stop for a second. Do you know who called Shane McWilliams the most on the day that he got put out to pasture?
Who called him the most?
Yeah,
Brad.
it was Zagoni.
Why?
Zagoni called
are
him
they
the
big
most
buds?
that day.
Are they?
I don't know. Maybe they are. I mean, he's a fire chief. He's calling the existing police chief. I'm just saying, point of reference, Zagoni was calling him the most that day. Interesting. Anyway,
Yeah.
you know,
All right, here we go.
rabbit.
Interstate, come around, come back through all that traffic. To me, Tom, the quicker we can cross that railroad track, the better off everybody will be. That's all I want to see about the whole thing.
I don't agree. I don't disagree with him.
I don't
He's
either, but
absolutely right.
I don't either, but riddle me this, Batman. Wouldn't it be better to have 2 crossings, the overpass and the one right there?
The more options you have, the better. But
Makes sense to me, but what do I know?
But here's the thing. Who's arguing against building a overpass over the railroad?
I mean,
nobody is arguing against that. Nobody.
But when they built the overpass deal over the train deal on Benton Road right there, you know, before you get to the McDonald's and all that and Tubbs Hardware, I mean, they didn't close the rest of Benton Road right there. Why not?
I mean, and I can tell you, as a guy who drove an ambulance and a fire truck up to Benton Road before that overpass, my options were to race the train or race over to Airline Drive to beat it there to cross over, or to go to Hamilton Road and take the underpass.
Yeah.
That was the race. It depended on the train. And Bossier has always faced that. This isn't like this is some new problem.
Right.
And I would point out something else, and the police chief gets up here. We've beat up on him enough tonight.
Yeah, but they're acting like it's one or the other. Like if they don't close Shed Road, they're not going to do the overpass, which is Ben's contention. But we know is not. But we know is not true. So you can have both, people, unless you believe Ben. Okay.
And they're full of shit as a Christmas turkey. They're trying to move the ball as fast as they can possibly move the ball without no consideration of an alternative option or even consideration of it. Why?
Well, but as it turns out, why don't we go ahead and jump kind of close to the end there to the 126.40 mark? As it turns out, they did decide to maybe have a little time. Is there one of those other ones you really want to see?
Back a little bit more.
Okay.
We ain't got to go back there, but I'll paraphrase it. Estes gets up there and starts talking about the events of having 18-wheelers, you know, on the carriageway, and in the event that you should have something happen with an 18-wheeler there. So you've had Tommy Chandler, Scott Irwin, the police chief, all talking about semi-trucks on the carriageway and the parkway thing, all of them talking about it. So keep going.
All right. Yeah, we'll go ahead and play for a second. Let's listen.
You said you didn't come up and talk voluntarily, did you? I know, thank you.
It's no doubt it's the same thing for us. Trains present a problem whenever it comes to somebody breaking in your house, whenever you need assistance.
While they're
And
taking
the longer
lunch, they're
this
going to
project
break in
is
your
delayed,
house while they got the tracks blocked.
the greater likelihood of somebody being adversely affected whenever it comes to the protection of life or property. And so we're all frustrated by the trains. It impacts us on a day in, day out basis. Just as a safety matter, that intersection, you have McElroy Metal who have deliveries several times a day that typically would have 18-wheelers crossing those tracks. You've got slow-moving 18-wheelers, you've got fast-moving trains, and it's a great potential.
But none of them seem to recall a dadgum accident right there. It's not like they can go, remember when that 18-wheeler carrying anhydrous ammonia was hit by the train and we had to evacuate half the city?
Yeah, because that crap ain't ever happened. But
it's a bunch of what ifs.
Yeah, and let me ask you another thing. So depending on the accident, if you've got trauma, I would ask the Zagoni, what are you going to do with trauma, Zagoni? Where are you going to transport? Are you going to Willis Knight and Bossier with trauma? No, the answer is I'll go ahead for the 80 to 90 or 100 people watching or whatever. No, if you've got trauma, you're going to the level 1 trauma center, which is LSU Hospital in Shreveport. You're not freaking going that direction. So that's not an issue, right?
Correct.
But no, that ain't brought up. That ain't asked.
But that's not part of the talking points.
That's not part of the talking point. So where does Darby end up at this? 126.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up here shortly, folks. So 126.40. Let's see, somewhere right in here. Here we go.
That's what the motion is on the table.
Everybody understand?
I'm gonna ride this train.
You heard that?
When they stop.
Darby's riding his train all the way to the end, by God. He wants it delayed 30 days. Drum roll, please.
Now, wait a minute. What?
Castor
David
comes up.
and Irwin's got to talk.
Right, so y'all listen carefully, folks. See Irwin looking at King David, all right? He said, vote against it if you don't want to continue.
So he had to tell him how to vote.
How to vote.
Carries
But look,
for 30 days.
so y'all pay attention to that. Jeff Free, Jeff Darby, Chris Smith, and Vince Maggio voted for Jeff Darby's motion to delay this for 30 days.
So it would appear that the dam may have broke a little bit in Bossier. We may have Jeffrey and Vince Maggio that are, looking at things with a open perspective here. That's what I would articulate.
That's the biggest thing out of all this is they voted not with King David. Look, he's over there scratching his head now trying to figure out what the hell just happened.
Yeah, what just happened? What did I just get hit by? Now, before we close, I want you to go to cut 22, and now all of you heard all this talk about these semi trucks, right? You remember hearing that? So, and you remember hearing King David talk about, that was what this was all about, was a north, south to north, from South Bossier to North Bossier. That was always the plan, right? Well, and you heard them all talking about how we're going to have all these trucks, right? We needed this to relieve the trucks. Well, look at this right here on the parkway down there. What I mean, I got my driver's license a long time ago, but that big red circle with a slash through it over a truck, I think
No, Duke, you're wrong. That's no UPS and no FedEx and no two guys moving. Now, that's not an 18-wheeler in that picture. You can have 18-wheelers, just no moving vans, no UPS, Duke. Come on.
Maybe it's an ambulance. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I couldn't use the sign just as the point of reference, right? So, we got to look at this thing from a legal perspective. So, the Muni Code actually kind of talks about this subject a little bit, ironically, and if this was all part of the original plan that King David, talks about, I'm just wondering, did he not read a little bit? Does he not know? What about Chandler? Did Chandler not get his marching orders from David?
Chandler's own attorney doesn't read the dadgum stuff. Come on.
Well, but David should be telling Chandler. David needs to communicate with the mayor and let him know, so that he's not sideswiping. Because you didn't hear David talking about 18-wheelers. All you heard was everybody else and Chandler. He walked right into it. So in the Muni Code, it specifically addresses this. I'm wondering, since this is all part of the grand master plan, I'm just wondering if they're going to change the Muni Code.
Well, David refers to read the charter all the time, and so maybe they need to go read the code. And, of course, I don't really trust Jacobs as an attorney and a former judge now because he didn't read the contract with NTB, obviously.
I'm guessing I'm guessing you probably don't see the link because I think our viewers would probably like to see the link.
Oh, no, I probably don't
notes.
At this point. Oh, there it is. Well, hold on. It's going to take me a second here.
So how many hours are we at in this show?
3 hours and 8 minutes.
Well, this is going to be the record, and we got 80-something people watching.
I was going to say, more amazing is the fact that we have 80-something people watching. That's the main thing here. Give me a second.
I am proud that people in Bossier, care about this subject matter and are paying attention and eating this up. I mean, I'll share it to them all night long.
Yeah. Give me 1 second here, and let me get this pulled up over here. Google Chrome.
And this is just so you guys don't think that we're just making this crap up. We're not making it up. I mean, we put this together and we're sharing it out to you. You take it, chew on it, digest it, and make of it what you want. But it's right here in black and white.
Then call and email your city councilman and your councilman at large. Okay, here we go.
Trucks with 3 or more axles are prohibited from using the Authorized Teak Parkway from the Isle of Capri Boulevard to Walker Place, with the exception of emergency vehicles. I can't even read that word. But
in extenuating circumstances and for one-time access, the mayor is authorized to waive this prohibition. Requests for waivers must be in writing, fully documenting the need, date, and time of the event. Waiver approvals must be in writing and signed by the mayor.
Are they now allowing trucks to use the parkway from the north to the south? Is that what they're converting the parkway into? I mean,
that's going to piss some people off. Because the trucks have to go down Barksdale Boulevard right now, correct?
Yeah, I know, but I mean, they're talking about the importance of the carriageway. 3 of them arguing, including the mayor, arguing on behalf of closing this intersection down, that we need to be able to get these trucks moving north and south. I mean, so are they going to be sending all the trucks down the parkway now?
Well, I don't know, but more importantly, Shane Cheatham says his wife has us on the big screen and on her phone to view the comments. #rockstars. So anyway.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I don't know about the rock stars, but those were cool T-shirts and costumes y'all had for Halloween. Shane, if y'all hadn't seen, go to Shane's Facebook timeline and profile, and you'll see the pictures from their Halloween costumes. They were first class. All right. So
I do want to shout out to Stumpy Johnson that donated this hat here. It's a pro-gun hat.
Oh, well, hold on. Let's get you up on a little bigger deal. Do that. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, which is a cool hat. He arguably said it didn't fit his head, but so you know what? But it was a donated hat. Appreciate it, Stumpy Johnson. And are we going to have a cockroach of the week? I don't know.
We could have multiple cockroaches. I think Ben should be the cockroach of the week and not wear it with a badge of honor. But that means I got to copy and paste his name in there and all that. So I don't know. We'll have to think about it.
I don't know, man. Darby kind of stepped up. He stepped to the plate.
Yeah, absolutely in a good way. So we could bestow the cockroach of the week to him as a badge of honor to wear.
I would say that Darby showed leadership, and with that leadership, he had followers. Right. He had Free, he had Maggio. Mm-hmm. They jumped on board. Smith obviously was going to be there. Smith was already there,
right?
But they Darby led. The NTB guy and the TRC guy. The TRC guy mic dropped.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one. We'll have to think about it. Maybe we'll bestow that upon them in another episode, but because it is a toss-up. Darby made the motion, and it got passed. Or arguably because he stepped up to the plate and he stayed with it. He didn't wimp out there at the end either. He decided, like you said, he rode the train all the way there. And Shane, of course, we agree. The NTB and TRC guys, they just got up there and told the truth, and that makes it easy.
Now, Shane Cheatham makes an interesting post, and it gave me a thought looking at that. He said NTB and TRC ! Should be the cockroach of the week.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that.
Right.
And I got to tell you now, I'm sitting here thinking about it for next week. A potential cockroach of the week for next week could be a railroad.
Absolutely could be.
Now, Union Pacific, damn good and well that the incidents at that crossing are not as significant as what's being played up.
True.
Be the cockroach of the week and step up and put this thing to bed and make the citizens of Bossier City know that you are a good partner to the citizens of Northwest Louisiana. I mean, we've lived with you and you've lived with us for God knows since I've been born in this, I mean, step up and help us out here. We don't want that thing closed. Step up to the plate and take some initiative.
Yeah, I agree.
Rail Pro, where are you?
Where are you, railroad
Come
guys?
on the show. We're dying to hear from you.
Yeah, we want to hear from you. Okay, Duke. We are at a new record of 3 hours and 14 and a half minutes. And still got 76 people that they may have fallen asleep at their keyboards and their phones and don't realize that we're still streaming, but the fact is the number's still there. So that is
Are there
crazy.
any results out of Virginia? Since we've been talking about Bossier all night, is anybody, 76 people watching, are there any results out of Virginia yet?
Who was that? Let me see if I can find it. David Johnson said quite a while ago, probably an hour ago, Republicans swept Virginia, according to David Johnson.
Really? So Dominion didn't blow it away? Well, I mean, look, we won't know till tomorrow or the next day. Dominion's still got 3 more days to get this cleaned up, right?
That's true. They still have a chance to win,
Yeah, they still got 3 or 4 days.
Right. Okay, Mr. Lowry.
It was a marathon, Rex. I enjoyed it. Good night, everybody.
All right. See y'all later. Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate it. We will see you, I don't know, either later this week or next Tuesday. Have a good evening.
Good evening.